investigations from the case files of Lieutenant Joe Kenda. First, a runaway truck leaves a trail of destruction.
He doesn't do anything to stop. He runs into the building.
Did this person have a heart attack?
His family insisted this was an accident.
When we find out the identity of the victim, it brings out a lot more questions.
Then, a dive bar murder appears open and shut.
Sir, that guy, that's the one who shot him.
Spray drone!
But getting to the truth proves to be an elusive undertaking.
We have additional suspects. We don't know if they're in cahoots with our first party.
Is there more to this story? Of course there is. There's a ton more. As I've often told people, you want to avoid being the victim of a violent crime? Stay out of bars late at night. Nothing good happens after midnight. There's one thing that never changes. Murder. A life has been taken. Their stories are now my stories. I never know where a case is going to lead, but I'll never stop until it's solved. Somebody has to look out for the victim. If you kill, I will find you.
It was a typical afternoon at Peterson Air Force Base.
Looking pretty good there.
Always going to you.
Hey, Carl.
Hey,
Travis.
Floyd.
How are you?
How you doing?
As usual, Floyd Burnett is early for his haircut.
Looking a little shaggy there.
Well, that's what happens when you retire. You know, you kind of let things go.
Yeah.
They say once a military man, always a military man, and part of that is keeping your hair cut high and tight.
He sees a vehicle driving through the parking lot. And it's going way too fast. So as soon as you do it, that fight or flight response starts to take over.
Get the deck.
On the west side of town, Lieutenant Joe Kenda is driving back to the station when he gets an unusual call.
Dispatch for Lieutenant Kenda.
Go for Kenda.
We have a report of an auto pedestrian accident, possible fatality.
The crash occurred in the parking lot of the commissary at Peterson Air Force Base in Colorado Springs.
What do they need me there for?
Homicide would rarely respond to the scene of a traffic accident.
Air Force security forces are on scene and will be expecting you.
10-4, Kenda out.
Peterson Air Force Base is unique. They are on the 7,000 acres that comprise the municipal airport, owned and operated by the state of Colorado Springs. The CSPD has jurisdiction on this property.
Hello, Sergeant. I'm Lieutenant Kenda from CSPD. My team and I'll take it from here. Sawyer's Lieutenant. I'll tell you what we've got so far. You don't see that every day. No, sir. Witnesses said that the truck came through the parking lot at a high rate of speed.
When the truck impacted the building, it created a lot of debris. The debris caused minor lacerations on some of the customers in the barbershop.
What about the potential fatality? It was an unidentified elderly female. Body was over there.
He explains the truck hit a pedestrian just before it impacted the building, and the pedestrian's condition was considered to be grave and had been removed by ambulance.
What about the driver? He's pretty roughed up. Looked like he had a broken neck. He was also transported.
The driver of this truck is identified as a 70-year-old man whose name is William Gibbs. He's a retired sergeant, United States Air Force.
Melissa, we do anything to help you? We'll do. Thanks, sir.
Kenda begins by surveying the damage.
It's remarkable that no one else died in the process of this truck driving through a barber shop at 100 miles an hour.
When we see these accidents involve elderly drivers, we do question whether or not their mental and physical condition plays an actual part into the cause of the accident.
Did this person have a heart attack, or were they on medication?
None of these questions can be answered until investigators can speak with the driver.
Kenda to Ritz.
Go for it.
I need you to go to the hospital, check on a William Gibbs, find out what his condition is, and keep me updated on what you find. Sit down there. Here we go.
This is our point of impact. It's in the parking lot. Quite a distance from the front door.
You hit it right there. Got caught up underneath the truck. Ended up over there.
This can also be a hit-and-run accident. Somebody doesn't see the pedestrian they hit, and in panic, they're running as fast as this truck will go, and they wind up sticking in a building.
Just then, Detective Ritz reports back to Kenda with an update.
Ritz informs me that they've identified the victim as Teresa Gibbs.
Yeah, victim is a 66-year-old female.
Did she make any statements to anyone?
No, unfortunately, the surgeons just told me that she passed away in surgery.
It broke my heart when this happened.
It was sad. We were wondering how that could happen.
So the hit-and-run idea is out the window. These people are married to each other.
It brings out a lot more questions. Is it purely an accident? Or is this I'm mad at my wife, I'm gonna run her over?
How about Mr. Gibbs?
He's banged up pretty bad. He's got a
Broken clavicle, severe contusions of the neck and spine, and a bruised lung. Fortunately, though, he's going to make it. We're going to be able to talk to him after the doctors run a few more tests.
All right, I'll be there as soon as I can.
Kenda instructs his team to transport the truck to the CSI garage for further processing. In the meantime, the traffic investigator arrives on the scene.
How you doing?
Tina? Their mission is to tell me what this vehicle was doing at various points in this process based on the abrasion and skid marks on the asphalt. It's a very involved process and it takes a couple of hours.
All right, I need to go to the hospital. I'll check back with you. Yes, sir.
Hey, any news? Yeah, we can talk to William Gibbs now. Doctors just let me know that his test results all came back negative, too.
There's no medical condition. There's no drugs or alcohol involved.
Mr. Gibbs, incredibly sorry for your loss.
Can't believe this happened. Married for 41 years.
She was a homemaker when he served in the military.
They each had children from other marriages. And then they got together and they had children together.
They were basically just normal married people.
You know, my entire life, this is only the second accident I've ever had.
He says the first one was a fender bender and it happened decades ago.
So you're saying this is an accident?
Of course. Damn throttle was stuck.
So the gas pedal went all the way to the floor?
That's what I'm saying.
Why don't you tell us what happened today?
We went over to the commissary.
Honey, I don't think I can park this thing.
Just go. I'll park the damn thing.
Okay.
Williams explains that Teresa did not think she could park their truck in a confined parking space.
You know what? I'll meet you inside my produce.
Fine, fine.
All right.
He says after his wife got out of the vehicle, she started across in front of him.
William claims he placed his foot on the brake and put the vehicle in gear. But to his horror, the truck lurched forward. Running over his wife.
It just started up. Couldn't stop it till it hit the gas pedal.
Now, obviously, one of our primary concerns is the status of the truck. Was it fully operational?
We're going to let you rest now. We'll check back in.
So we get a court-certified expert mechanic to examine the truck. But in the meantime, I need to find out what the circumstances are of their marriage. I need to find out if there's a reason why Gibbs wanted his wife dead. We're continuing our investigation into a major traffic accident where a person ran over his wife in the parking lot of the commissary at Peterson Air Force Base.
It could be a complete accident. It could be a homicide with intent to run over. We don't know at this point.
Kenda hopes a conversation with the couple's son, Victor, will provide some answers.
Victor?
Yes.
I mind if I ask you a few questions?
That's fine.
He reports that his parents do have a tendency to argue. They are, in his words, the Bickersons.
That's just the way they communicate. I will tell you this. There's just no way my father would ever do anything to hurt my mother.
Can you think of anything that's happened recently that might have caused friction between the two?
Well, we have had family in town for the last few weeks, but they left this morning.
It was brought to the police's attention that William was a little upset. There wasn't any food in the house, and so he was like, we got to go grocery shopping.
Was this enough to make him angry on the way to the grocery store? So angry that he wound up murdering his wife with his truck? We'll have to see.
Hey, Lieutenant. Located this guy, John Mooney. He said he witnessed a couple arguing in the parking lot. So you're going to want to talk to him.
How big of an argument?
He said it was so heated he stopped what he was doing to watch.
Let's get him in here now.
Yes, sir.
When you can stop people in their tracks, you are seriously engaged. And it says one thing to me, it says this is no accident.
Why don't you walk me through what you witnessed out there?
I just helped a customer with the bags, and I was walking back to the store. That's when I heard yelling.
Did you hear what they were yelling?
All you do is buy big vehicles. I don't know why you have to get this stupid... Yeah, but I gotta get that spot. There's no way I can do this.
Park the damn thing.
I can't do it.
I will. Just
You know
get
what?
out.
I'll tell you what. I'm just gonna let you do this.
Go ahead.
When people lose control of their judgment is when emotions are piqued. We now have motive.
Wondering if the car holds more clues, Kenda contacts the mechanic at the CSPD garage.
Mr. Gibbs alleges there's a mechanical failure with this vehicle. I don't believe him. That doesn't mean it isn't true.
Hey, Drew.
Hey, LT.
Did you find anything?
I checked everything. Gas pedal connection, brake.
Maybe stuff.
I can't say 100%, but it's highly unlikely.
No, I appreciate it. Let me know if you find anything else.
Will do.
Kenda still needs concrete evidence that proves the wreck was no accident. Just then, he's summoned back to the scene by the traffic investigator.
Any conclusions? Yes, sir. Me.
So this is no accident, it's intentional. Come here, I'll show you how I know that.
See the marks there? Those are acceleration marks.
Basically, these marks are left over from somebody sitting in a vehicle, slamming on the gas.
Sped up again. That's where these marks come from.
So we have three sets of motion. We have speed, contact, stop, acceleration again. So they've hit this person and they've run over them a second time. That's intent.
Brutal. I appreciate it. You want to send me the report when you're done? Yes, sir. Thanks.
The acceleration marks, coupled with a statement from eyewitness John Mooney, allow Kenda to piece together what happened.
We believe that Teresa Gibbs drove William to the commissary parking lot. She was going to try to park the vehicle, but it was a very small parking space. She became a little nervous about it.
Just park the damn thing.
It's too small. I'm gonna just drive out there.
I'm not going cross country just for a parking space.
Park it yourself. You know what? I hope you drop dead.
She gets out and starts to cross in front of the vehicle.
She doesn't think anything about it. She doesn't feel like she's in any danger.
But inside the cab of the truck, William Gibbs is fuming.
Mr. Gibbs has reached his limit. He is enraged. He hits the gas of the truck. And off he goes. She's literally scooped off the ground by the front end of this truck. The heel of her shoe got scraped off.
He then lets off the gas, slowing the vehicle, causing her to slide forward off the truck.
You could see by the impact bleeding on the asphalt. For a brief moment, she laid there and bled on this spot. He then re-accelerated and ran over her with the entire vehicle. What is he doing when he continues to accelerate? Who knows? He is an emotional wreck.
He doesn't do anything to stop. He continues to accelerate until he runs into the building.
He probably didn't even think about the people in the barber shop. You have to be almost out of your mind.
This is a textbook example of the words of the statute of second-degree murder.
Armed with this theory, Kenda and Ritz.
So you want to tell me why you ran over your wife?
You're out of your mind.
He was adamant that it was an accident. Became very infuriated with us to a point where he decided he was tired, didn't want to talk to us anymore.
Maybe I should see a lawyer.
All right. We'll be back when the hospital decision can be released.
He was subsequently arrested for second-degree murder. His family was adamant throughout the entire investigation that that this was nothing more than the accident, that he had no reason to kill his wife.
Well, I did ask him, and he said no, he didn't do it on purpose. I remember feeling kind of protective because he was old and he was injured.
The one thing we knew 100% is Teresa would have never wanted him charged or anything.
After consulting with Teresa's family, the DA drops the second-degree murder charge against the ailing William Gibbs. In exchange, William pleads no contest to criminally negligent homicide.
He received 3 years probation, and he had to pay restitution for the damage to the building at Peterson Air Force Base.
William Gibbs passed away in 2003. To this day, those who knew him and Teresa feel conflicted about the outcome of the case.
It's my father. It's my stepmother. I want to think it's an accident, and I hope it was. And I'll probably never know.
I guess if they were both still alive, they'd probably be just doing the same things they always did. Growing tomatoes and camping and fishing and joking around.
It's a terrible thing when people who've been together for so long can't continue to be together. He had to spend his remaining years on this earth in the jail of his own mind, because in his heart of hearts, he knew what he did.
Coming up, when a young man's life is brutally snuffed out, Kenda discovers he was playing with fire.
You never involve yourself in someone else's affair of the heart. It's dangerous.
It's Saturday night, and Lieutenant Joe Kenda is enjoying a rare night off with his wife, Kathy.
That was so great. I can't believe we got those seats right up front.
I know, right? They were awesome.
I grew up listening to rock and roll music. I like the Eagles, I like the Rolling Stones. It is a rare thing to have a major group show up in this area. So anytime they did, we tried to go.
My ears are still ringing.
What was that? Oh, hold on.
Are you kidding me?
It was absolutely devastating sometimes to Kathy because her life was not her own.
Kath, I'm sorry. It's my job.
Yeah, I know. I just hate worrying about you so much. It's okay. We had fun tonight, though, didn't we?
We did.
Kenda suits up and pulls into a bar parking lot on the east side of town. It's already swarming with police and intoxicated patrons.
Hey, Dave. So we got tonight?
We got one victim, James Holmes, 25-year-old white male. A single gunshot to the chest. It was pronounced DOA in St. Francis.
Officer Morgan is one of the first officers on the scene. He tells me that this is very cut and dried.
Was he shot inside the bar?
Yes, sir. We actually have several witnesses. The only problem is we're in the process of collecting statements now. They're all so drunk that they can't give us a clear picture of what happened.
Anytime you have an investigation where witnesses have been drinking, you're always concerned about their level of intoxication and their ability to relate what they saw.
Any lead on a suspect?
Actually, you're lucky not. Got the guy in custody back in the car.
Good job.
The suspect is identified as 24-year-old Joseph Brown.
I want to walk me through what happened?
Yes, sir. I got here within minutes of the call. Dispatcher gave me a description of the suspect through a 911 caller. I get here, several witnesses run out, and they tell me somebody had been shot on the inside.
He is told that the suspect is described as a white male, long brown hair, in a red plaid shirt and blue jeans.
I need everybody back up. Out of the way over here. Everybody get back. Back up right now. Let me see your hands. Start, get away.
He sees a man matching that description, bent over what is apparently the victim, pleading with the victim to stay alive.
Sir, come here. Come here, sir. On the ground right now. I got one male suspect matching the description, one male victim. I do not see a gun. Get out now.
Officer, that guy, that's the one who shot him.
Spread your arms. Spread them now. Hey, come here for me. Hands behind your back. All done.
Why are you arresting me? Jim! Jim, look at me! What'd I do?
The officer takes control of this individual and handcuffs him.
That time I took him in custody and brought him outside. The strange thing is, I think he was in shock because he seemed awfully remorseful.
Maybe I had to change your heart up to pull the trigger.
It could be the simple fact this was an accident. Or maybe he just realized he just ruined his own life.
Who ID'd him as a suspect?
It was actually the bartender. She's also one that called 911, and we had CSI come down and take pictures of our suspect. She's en route to the station now to ID him in a photo lineup.
All right, great. You want to show me inside?
Tables disturbed, no broken beer bottles, none of the things you often find in bar fights that escalate from fists to glassware to gunfire.
That's where I found a .380 casing.
What about the weapon?
Oh no, we hadn't found it. It wasn't on the suspect when we arrested him.
Really? Okay, you probably handed it off to a buddy right after he shot the guy. Keep searching the place. Might still be stashing here somewhere.
Yes, sir.
Outside the bar, a conversation between bystanders catches Kenda's attention.
They had to be involved. I know they did.
This woman says she saw 3 people run out of the bar. Running people from crime scenes always interests me.
Excuse me. Mind if I ask you a few questions about what you saw tonight?
Yeah, sure.
Her name is Victoria Gonzalez.
It was so awful and it happened so fast.
Okay, just slow down.
So I was standing at one end of the bar. Hey, Victoria, what can I get you? Beer and a shot, coming right up.
Victoria explains she heard a few bar patrons raising their voices.
Hey,
Thanks.
big shot. Better watch your mouth, man.
Just get home right there.
It was a verbal argument that escalated, followed by a shooting. Victoria says that the shooter with the red plaid shirt left the bar with a female with long blonde hair and another guy who was wearing a black cowboy hat.
I didn't get that good of a look at him.
Did you see someone with a gun?
I think the guy in the red shirt had a gun in his hand.
She believes that the party that she saw leaving in the red shirt subsequently came back into the bar, and she identified that individual, the one we have detained, as being our suspect.
When the guy with the red shirt came back in, did you see him with a gun?
No, I don't think so.
What about the other 2? Did they come back in as well?
I didn't see them again, no.
So Victoria Gonzalez is right, and the guy in a red plaid shirt is the shooter, and he fled the bar with 2 other people. Then he passed the gun off to one of his friends, and then came back in to plead for the victim's life.
Hey, Lou.
Hey, what's up?
I need to call in a bolo for 2 possible accomplices. A female with long blonde hair and a male with a black cowboy hat.
Got it. This is Davis Dispatch.
With a bolo issued for the 2 potential accomplices, Kenda turns to the suspect in custody, Joseph Brown.
Wrong guy. Jim's my friend. Why would I shoot Jim?
I can smell alcohol on him. He's 24 years old, but he looks like maybe he is 10.
Joseph, we had 2 people that ID'd you. Would you tell me what happened?
So Joseph tells me he's in the bar. He's drinking with the victim, Jim Holmes.
Yeah, me too.
Not this guy.
The guy in the black cowboy hat comes in, and Jim Holmes immediately says something nasty to him. It was something about a girl, somebody treating a girl badly. That's all he could remember.
Hey, you. Mr. Big Shot. One who likes to push women around. Mind your own business.
Then what happened?
The guy in the black cowboy hat comes over with his friends and everybody starts yelling and the gun goes off.
Now he's trying to blame it on the guy in the black hat.
Do you see a gun on me?
Joseph is currently under arrest. Is he therefore a credible person? No, he's not. What if Brown here wants to lay this off on the guy in the black cowboy hat when it's actually him all along?
Joseph, I'm going to have you taken down to the station. We can sober up for a little bit. Then I have a few more questions for you.
Oh, man.
Get him out of here.
I do it.
Watch it.
Kenda may have a suspect in custody, but something just doesn't feel right.
This is a bar shooting. Is anybody telling me the truth? Absolutely not. We need to find a black cowboy hat dude and his long-haired girlfriend. That we need to do. The police find Jim Holmes dead from a gunshot wound, and they make an arrest in a bar of Joseph Brown. He says he's innocent of this crime. Now we have to get to the bottom of this.
Hey, Lou, you got any leads on those accomplices?
Nothing's turned up yet. It helped that we had some names.
At this point, it's very vital for us to identify the man in the cowboy hat and the blonde that was observed running away with our suspect.
While Kenda waits for his prime suspect to sober up, he turns his attention to the victim.
Are you the contact info for Jim's family?
Just an address we got from his driver's license.
Guess I'll start there. Thanks.
There is no preparation to giving a death notification. You have no idea what's going to happen after you make that statement.
Who's there?
Lieutenant Kenda with the Colorado Springs Police Department. Can you open the door, please?
What's going on?
Does James Holmes live here?
This woman's name is Danielle Roberts. I find out she's the recently former girlfriend of James Holmes.
So, what's going on with Jim?
I'm afraid I have some bad news. Jim was shot and killed earlier tonight.
They had recently broken up, but that's just gotta rip your heart out, regardless of how you feel about that person.
She described him as a nice fellow. Nice man, he liked to work on cars. His dream was to someday own a body shop.
I met Jim through my father's 4x4 shop. He was easy to be a friend with. Just a big brother to a lot of people. A good friend of most.
Can you think of anything that might have led up to this, or anyone he didn't get along with?
Well, sometimes Jim would stick his nose where it didn't belong.
I wouldn't classify him as being aggressive, but he couldn't stand the fact of a man beating on a woman or anything like that.
You know, right before we broke up, he told me about something that happened.
And what was that?
And she recalls that he told her he had gotten into a verbal argument with a guy.
I mean, if you wanted to be a little tramp, you can just get on out of here. Hey, why don't you ease up on her a bit, pal? Man, this don't concern you.
Listen, you want to pick on somebody, you pick on me, all right?
Jim said they didn't tussle or anything, just argued, and then that couple left.
Did he mention the names of the people he argued with?
He didn't say.
Could the innocent Danielle is describing be connected to Jim's murder? My gut tells me these two events are connected. So I go back to the station to see how the photo lineup was going with our 911 caller.
You wanted to see me, sir? Yeah, did the bartender pick out Mr. Red Plaid shirt?
They show her a photo lineup that contains a photograph of Joseph and 5 other people, and she says the shooter is not among the 6 photographs.
You're kidding. She swears it's none of the guys. You want to send her in?
Yeah. So our identification of Joseph Brown has just gone out the window. I'm not ready to turn him loose yet, but I'm highly questioning why we have him in the first place.
Have a seat.
Melissa Wagner's a bartender. She watches people all the time.
Well, I was working the bar, and I heard these guys raising their voices.
She sees 2 groups of people with a verbal exchange of profanity going back and forth.
And one of these guys was wearing a red plaid shirt?
Actually, there were 2 guys in red plaid shirts.
Wait, what?
Yeah, 2 guys in red plaid. One of them was this little guy who was with the guy who got shot. He was very short. I remember carting him earlier because he looked like he was underage.
Sure, and he's 6 feet tall. And he's with the guy in the black cowboy hat and the girl with long blonde hair.
And you're positive the tall guy had the gun?
100% positive.
We know that Joseph was 5'4", not a very tall guy. So we're assuming that the taller one is now our suspect.
So why'd you pick out the short at the crime scene?
It was so chaotic. I didn't realize I made the mistake until I got down here for the photo lineup. I feel awful. I'm so sorry.
Listen, it's okay. You've been through a traumatic event. We appreciate you being honest and helping us sort through this. The tech will see you out. Thank you.
With Melissa's statement in tow, Kenda radios his team that the shooter is still at large.
10-4.
We tell the officers searching the area. We're also now looking for a white male, 6 feet tall, red plaid flannel shirt.
As for the initial suspect, Joseph Brown, Kenda decides to hold him a little longer.
I still need to be certain that he did not play a part in this, so we're going to keep him on ice until we sort all this out.
Within the hour, Kenda receives some welcome news.
You're not going to believe this. We just arrested a guy matching the update description you just put out. He was inside the shanty bar.
Hiding in plain sight.
He has a red flannel shirt, not on, but tied around his waist.
Turn around, sir. Hands on the car. Turn around. Spread your feet. What's this?
And he's carrying a holster for a small automatic up to his pants. No gun in it. Well, we're getting better at this. Much better. They identify him as Rodney Gere.
Hands behind your back.
They're handcuffing him, and a female with long blonde hair runs up.
You need to move.
I'm not moving.
And says, "What are you doing with my boyfriend? Who are you?"
What's
I'm
your
not
name?
going anywhere.
What is your name?
Evelyn Blankenship. You
Okay,
need
we're
to
looking for you too.
There's no freaking way. I'm
Yes,
not
you
going
are.
anywhere. I'm going to go home is where I'm going to go. And so is my boyfriend.
So here we are in this case, going from confusion and misidentification of suspects to 2 of the 3 suspects in our hands.
That's what they all say. Come on, let's get on in.
And it's time for us to collect their tab. We finally arrive at 2 of the 3 best suspects. One of them is Evelyn Blankenship, the other is Rodney Gere. We still don't have a gun, and we still don't know who Black Cowboy Hat is. But we certainly know a hell of a lot more than we did about what happened here.
With your hands in front of you?
Not. They look quite similar. So you can certainly understand why witnesses would mistake one for the other.
Have a seat.
Man, I can already tell you right now. You're wasting your time.
I'd like to ask you a few questions about what happened at the shanty bar.
I don't know nothing about that. I don't care what you want.
We can see why that kind of person could easily get involved in an altercation inside of a bar.
Well, if you wanted to avoid a big piece of prison time, it'd be in your best interest to cooperate with us.
You know what I want? A lawyer.
It's your choice.
He is in major trouble, and he knows it. So his only defense is silence. I don't know why he's the shooter yet, but he is.
After Rodney Gere lawyers up, Kenda takes his chances with Evelyn Blankenship.
Hi, Evelyn. I'm Lieutenant Kenda.
It's about damn time. Where's Ronnie? Where's my boyfriend?
Evelyn is a belligerent, nasty, mouthy little drunk. She didn't get that way in 20 minutes. She's been drinking all evening.
Evelyn, we know you were at the shanty bar with Rodney and another guy with a black cowboy hat. We have witnesses that saw you there.
Yeah, we were out having a good time. I mean, is that some crime now too?
These witnesses also saw you have a verbal altercation with another guy moments before he was shot to death.
What? Jesus. Who do you guys think we are? We had nothing to do with anybody getting shot.
She's saying when the gunshot went off, all they did was flee the bar for their own safety.
Okay, so you left because you were frightened. Where'd you go?
She says, well, I went to my friend's house, Lonnie Fouché. He lives right there by the bar.
So why'd you come back to the crime scene?
Well, I lost track of Rodney. I was worried, so I went back to the bar to see if I could find him.
What about the guy in the black cowboy hat?
Yeah, well, that's Ronnie's friend.
His name is Chuck Sizemore. Okay, so now we have the name of the 3rd player.
And where would I find him?
I have no clue. Probably out getting drunk somewhere.
Why would a guy like Sizemore go to a bar after a shooting? To drown his fear. That's why.
Kenda instructs his men to canvass the other bars near where the shooting took place. It doesn't take them long to find their man.
We immediately turn Charles Sizemore wearing a black cowboy hat in a bar close to the scene. What a surprise. When I arrive, the officers have him outside the bar.
Oh, this is all my fault.
Why is that?
Well, the guy that died, we got into an argument a couple weeks ago, and this is how this all got started.
He tells us that he had an argument with his girlfriend. Not a physical argument, but his girlfriend becomes emotional and starts crying.
Do you even care about my feelings?
Why do you have to be so cruel? I didn't even ask you for a drink.
Did you have to take it?
Hey, listen. If you're gonna pick on somebody, you pick on me.
This ain't none of your business.
And Holmes...
Kenda same story that Jim's ex-girlfriend told him.
So what happened this time?
Well, me and Ronnie and Evelyn were going to the Shanty bar, and that same guy was yelling at me and stuff.
Hey, hey you. Hey, Big Shot. Likes to talk nasty to women?
Man, mind your own business, man.
Better watch him, lady. He'll hit you too.
Hey, asshole. Why don't you go say it to his face? Or do you need to grow a pair?
She was making the whole thing worse. I didn't want any trouble, so I told Ronnie, we need to go ahead and squash this.
So, Sizemore explains that Evelyn is stoking this fire with a gallon of gasoline.
Who do you think you are? You're such a piece of...
Look, you and your friends need to leave.
Chuck Sizemore tells Kenda that at this point, Rodney Gere becomes enraged that a stranger is talking down to his girlfriend.
You and your drunk friends need to get out. Hey, what are you doing?
Get down. Gere grabs Joseph by the throat and literally lifts him off the floor and slams him onto the bar. He pulls the gun. He points the gun at Joseph Brown, but Evelyn Blankenship grabs his arm just as he fires the weapon. He intends to shoot Joseph Brown, but he winds up shooting Mr. Holmes instead, killing him.
It was awful. I didn't know Ronnie had a gun.
So y'all ran out. What happened to the gun?
Well, I heard Evelyn say something about they were going to some guy's house. Lonnie, I think it was. I don't know. I came here. I don't know what they did.
Mr. Sizemore has cleared all the fog out of this bar. It's also completely clear on who's responsible. The only question that remains is, where is the gun?
As the sun rises over Colorado Springs, detectives obtain an address for Lonnie Fouché.
Lonnie, open the door!
Your hands. Listen, I don't want any trouble. Evelyn was here earlier and she just wanted me to hide a gun. He didn't do it. He left it on the table right for us to see. He's very open, very believable.
With the alleged murder weapon located, and with a pair of corroborating statements, Kenda releases both Joseph Brown and Chuck Sizemore.
Evelyn was accessory to murder.
Rodney Gere pleads guilty to manslaughter and receives 16 years. Evelyn Blankenship is convicted of tampering with physical evidence. She is sentenced to 4 weekends in jail and 2 years probation.
It's been 23 years since this happened. It still hurts. Feel sorry for all the other people that knew him. He was just a good person. And there was no reason for this to have happened.
Protecting the innocent is what the police do. It turns out Mr. Holmes believed he was protecting someone, but at the end of the day, he needed someone to protect him.
Two murder investigations from the case files of Lieutenant Joe Kenda. First, a trail of blood leads to a puzzling murder.
We have no idea how he got there.
Tracking that blood trail is key to the investigation.
Then, a single gunshot leaves a young woman fighting for her life.
What puts the 26-year-old female in a situation where she is assaulted in such a violent way?
Could a cryptic letter be the key to unlocking this mystery?
You can nod yes or no.
The victim can't even talk to us. Something that the girl wrote really upset the mother. Now that really piqued my interest. Murder is always murky. It's smoke and mirrors and confusion, which is why I found it to be so fascinating. There's one thing that never changes: murder. A life has been taken. Their stories are now my stories. I never know where a case is going to lead, but I'll never stop until it's solved. Somebody has to look out for the victim. If you kill, I will find you.
Francis Hospital, Sergeant Brian Grady has his hands full.
Go and turn and put you back up there. Man, we need to get this guy checked in. He's been in a bar fight.
Sergeant Grady is dealing with a person that got into an altercation with a bouncer, ended up getting hurt, then had to be treated at the hospital.
Hey! You gotta help this guy!
What's going on?
There's a guy hurt down by the corner of Rio Grande and Hancock.
These two teenage kids come roaring into the ER saying they've just seen a man stagger down a sidewalk and fall down.
Who's down there? What happened?
We don't know. We were just driving by and we saw him there.
That takes priority.
Guys, if you stand right there. Dispatch got a report of a man down, possible assault victim, corner of Rio Grande and Hancock. Start a unit in EMS. Ma'am, I'm going to lock this guy down. I'll be right back.
Minutes later, Officer James Huddleston arrives at a dimly lit street corner not far from the hospital.
And he actually sees an individual laying down on the curb.
Sir, are you okay?
There's an extreme amount of blood surrounding his body.
Sir, can you hear me? Are you okay?
Across town.
A night's sleep when I was working. I don't remember it ever happening. I was either restless with nightmares or the phone would ring and introduce me to the next nightmare. But on this particular occasion, I was stunned.
Okay.
Here we go again.
Why don't we just...
I never liked leaving home at night. You're not supposed to be wandering off somewhere to look at somebody's dead body. But that was the nature of the work.
Morning, sir.
Morning. So we got
One male stab victim, Calvin Blair, 28 years old.
Calvin Blair is from the Chicago area. He moved to Colorado when he was actually assigned to Fort Carson in the military.
He has suffered a minimum of one stab wound to the chest and was pronounced dead on arrival at St. Francis Hospital.
It's pretty late. I'm supposed to be having witnesses.
Well, as a matter of fact, we do.
David Teller and Joseph Holmes, they're both 18 years old, and they were driving home. And they saw this man laying in the street.
Most said that they were coming home from the movie. That's what they're playing.
It's 2:30 in the morning. The last movie show is over at midnight at the latest. So that strikes me as unusual.
Where are they now?
They're both still at the hospital.
people pretty reluctant to give any further information and really didn't want to stick around. That makes you kind of suspicious.
Hey, Wood, come over here a second. Take it right over to the hospital and talk.
I assigned Detective Wood to go to the hospital and speak to Mr. Teller and Mr. Holmes.
St. Francis? Yeah. I'll let you know what I find out.
Thanks.
And I'm still at the crime scene looking around to see what we can see.
Oh, that's a lot of blood.
When you see that amount of blood at the crime scene, the weapon involved had to strike a major organ. It had to strike an artery.
There does appear to be a bit of a blood trail over here, though.
Let's see where it goes.
I look with a flashlight, and I follow it for quite a ways.
At the end of the blood trail, Kenda discovers another key piece of evidence.
We got a knife.
A kitchen steak knife, covered in blood, obviously the weapon that caused the wound.
Does our victim Calvin Blair live anywhere around here?
Not really.
Calvin's driver's license gives an address.
In this place. The most likely method is by car. So did something go wrong in a car, and he was pushed out and wound up in the street and staggered 160 feet until he died?
As Kenda mulls over the notion of a potential carjacking, Detective Steve Wood is at the hospital, attempting to extract information from David Teller and Joseph Holmes.
So you have something to tell me?
already told you we were at the movies, and come back and just saw a guy on the side of the road. That's all there is to it, Billy.
What movie were you watching that doesn't let out until 2 a.m.? Come on.
Detective Wood's thinking, what's the reason for this nervousness?
What movie was it? Tell me about it. I might want to go see it.
All right, fine. We didn't go see a movie. I told my dad that, so he'd be off back. We actually went to a party, and we were just coming home from that.
He indicated they were driving down the road, and they saw this person staggering down the street. And all of a sudden, he just fell real hard.
And we got closer and saw it.
Saw what?
The blood. It was everywhere.
Come on, let's go. Get out of here.
We hightailed it out of there and came straight to the hospital.
This is the days before everybody was carrying cell phones. They knew the hospital was close.
I don't understand. Why not help the guy on the ground and bring him here to the hospital?
I don't know. Just weren't thinking. It just all happened so fast.
Okay. Just take a seat. I'll be with you in a moment, but don't go anywhere.
Detective Wood moves on to Joseph Holmes. But after 15 minutes of questioning, still getting the same fishy story.
We're sorry, okay? We didn't know what to do.
Just take a seat. Don't go anywhere.
With Kenda.
Go for Kenda. So what do you hear from our two witnesses?
They basically have the same story.
Maybe it's the truth. Maybe they just had time to sort out the story. But there's definitely something
up with these two.
10-4, why don't you see if they'll let you look inside their vehicle, see if you find any blood or anything.
All right.
What's up?
Hey, Lieutenant. We sent some guys that canvassed the neighborhood, see if we can find you any witnesses.
And?
Well, I think we may have found you somebody.
His name is Alfred Clare, and he lives in a house right on the corner.
At the home of Alfred Clare, Kenda presses his new witness for more details.
Hey, Mr. Clare, I'm Lieutenant Kenda. You tell me what you saw tonight?
Yes, I was sleeping, and I was awakened by 3 people out in the street, and they were by a car.
And what were they doing?
They were arguing.
Alfred Clare says 2 of the people drove away, while the third person staggered down the street.
There are 2 people with Calvin Blair. Well, we happen to have 2 people in our possession. And that works for the head count. Now, doesn't it? We're investigating the death of Calvin Blair. We have 2 people who could possibly be responsible for this murder.
Eyewitness Alfred Clare tells Kenda he saw an argument between 3 people outside his home. Then, 2 of them drove away, while the third left on foot.
And one of them stumbled away. I think that's the fellow that you all found.
It sounds like it. Did you get a good look at them?
No, not really. It was too dark.
What about the vehicle?
It was white. That's about it.
Well, I appreciate the help.
That's important. We know we've got 2 people that may be involved in this case, maybe not. Let's find out what kind of car they're driving.
Go for it.
Hey, Steve, just checking to see if you were able to examine the car those kids are driving.
Yeah, it's clean. No blood, no nothing.
My question of Wood is, what color is that car?
What color? It's black. Why?
Well, you can't mistake black for white. That's not the car that Mr. Clare saw. So we have gone from maybe having 2 suspects in our possession to having no idea who did this to Mr. Clare.
All right, you guys are free to go.
We know now their nervousness in trying to talk to us was the fact that they were late for curfew.
With no concrete suspects, Kenda takes a new tack in order to learn a little more about the victim, Calvin Blair.
I asked Wood to meet me at the address that we have for him. Hopefully someone could give us some idea as to where Mr. Blair was this evening before we found him in the street.
Lillian?
Yes?
Do you know Calvin Blair?
Yeah. Calvin's my boyfriend. He used to live here, but we broke up last month.
May we come in?
She obviously knows that this is serious to have police.
I'm very sorry to have to inform you that Calvin was killed earlier tonight.
What happened?
She's upset about the death of Calvin. He's an ex-boyfriend, but she's still concerned about him.
Can you tell us about Calvin?
Calvin was a really good man. Just lived a really tough life. He was an orphan. His brother practically raised him.
When he turned 18, he decided to join the Army, looking for some type of structure in his life.
The Army provides an opportunity for a young man to suddenly gain character, integrity, and a sense of purpose in his life.
He was doing great, but once he got out of the Army, he kind of drifted.
When that structure disappears, over time, all of those good feelings he had about himself begin to fade. And before one knows it, he is lost once again.
Lillian said as time went on, he drank more and more, and it really interfered with their relationship. She loved him very much, but just couldn't be around him when he was drinking.
It got to the point where I was rarely seeing him. He would go out every night and hang and drink at Cloud 9.
Every police officer in Color Springs knows the Cloud 9 bar is. It's a local bar that had a lot of trouble in its day.
This Washington has been very helpful. Again, we're very sorry for your loss. We'll let ourselves out.
In relation to crime scene, the Cloud 9 is less than a mile from that location. Odds are enormous. Whatever happened to Mr. Blair started at the Cloud 9.
Cloud 9's been closed for several hours now. You really believe there's somebody that can still be there?
This is the Cloud 9 we're talking about. Somebody will be there. Police, open up! We need to talk.
I don't know what y'all expect to find. It's just me and the bartender here.
That's exactly what I expected to find. Hey, I'm Lieutenant Kenda.
The best sources of information in any bar is the bouncer and the bartender. They all pay attention to what's happening. They know who's trouble and who isn't.
You know this guy?
Yeah, that's Calvin. He was just in here earlier tonight.
Good guy?
Oh, yeah, I love Calvin. I mean,
She said when he first showed up at the bar,
Hey, pretty good.
she described him as a prince. Everybody loved him. But the more he drank, his attitude changed.
And so, as it goes with alcohol, it lessens inhibitions. And he would kind of lose his manners, and then he would behave inappropriately toward women.
it's like Jekyll and Hyde. We have to eject him from time to time. You just threw him out tonight?
Yep.
You threw him out of the bar?
Yep, earlier tonight. When he starts to drink, he gets a little grabby with the ladies. And tonight he was in rare form.
We're doing shots when I get back there. Oh, hey, I'm sorry.
Sorry about that, baby.
Just gotta go to the bathroom.
No, it's okay. Oh, you're so beautiful. Hey,
Stop.
what?
Get off of me.
Whoa, get off me. No. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry.
Did he by chance leave in a white car?
I didn't go outside.
The bouncer said, well, I didn't go outside to see where he went. My only concern was getting him out of there before the problem got worse than it already was.
Do you know the woman that he was messing with?
You know, I'd never seen her before, but the weird thing is, after Calvin got thrown out, she followed right behind him.
This leads us to wonder, who is this woman who followed him out? And is she part of this in some way? Or is she just somebody that happened to leave at the same time he did?
I appreciate that. Thanks, Nick.
As the sun rises, Kenda is met with two objectives.
In addition to Mr. Blair, I need to find a white car that was at the Cloud 9 lounge. And that's where the work needs to start.
Hey, Lieutenant. I got somebody here you might want to meet.
What do you mean? Detective Wood says we just had a guy walk in here who says he knows everything about this, and he has an attorney with him. When people come into a police station with a lawyer that says they have knowledge, it's because they do.
You never guess what kind of car he drives. Please tell me you got a white car.
Well, now, I can't wait to see what this guy's got to say. So we've been up all night investigating the untimely demise of Calvin Blair. And we have somebody wander in the door, attorney in hand, driving a white car that says he knows all about this.
This party was identified as Larry Jones. This is a DJ at the Cloud 9 bar and was working the night of this incident.
Just want to tell us what happened?
Blair's death.
Okay, I'm all for that. So how'd you know Mr. Blair?
We go way back to our days in the military together. We've been tight ever since. He's a really cool guy, except when he gets drunk.
That particular evening, Larry says that Calvin's nice to everybody, but then he starts to go drinking too much. And there's a girl there that Larry had brought there.
Her name's Lucy Hart.
Is this your girlfriend or?
No, she's just a friend. She asked me to bring her to the club and asked if I can take her back home when I was done DJing. I said, sure, no problem.
Larry's working behind the turntables. And Lucy's meeting her friends and people she knows.
Does Lucy know Calvin?
Not until last night.
Larry explains that it's getting late in the evening. Calvin is pretty intoxicated. And he bumps into Lucy.
Nothing to be sorry about, baby.
This leads to Calvin being kicked out of the bar.
Sorry. I was done DJing, and I walked over to Lucy and see if she was alright, and she was still pretty steamed. You okay?
Yeah. The guy was a creep.
Yeah, I know. Unfortunately, he gets that way when he drinks.
Do you know him?
Yeah, Calvin. He's been going through a lot lately. Anyways, we gotta find him.
Yeah. So look, he's my friend, and I'm not going to let him just walk down the street as drunk as he is. Something kind of bad's going to happen to him. I'm going to take him home.
You said you were going to take me home. You don't expect me to ride in the same car with him, do you?
It's cool. It'll be all right. I got you.
Lucy wasn't very happy about that, but she's going to have to go along with it.
So, Cal, you ready to go, bro? Yeah. Come on, Lucy.
It got a little ickier when they got into his car. There wasn't a back seat. Calvin was apparently really wildly drunk. Not just drunk, but crazy drunk. I think the situation was far worse than either Larry or Lucy realized.
They're headed in the general direction of Calvin's house because he lives closer than Lucy does. And Calvin's giving Larry instructions that don't make any sense.
No. This is the wrong way. You gotta go that way. Yo, Calvin, bro, you literally just told me to turn. No, you gotta go that way.
This dumbass doesn't even know where he lives.
What the hell are you doing? What the hell are you doing, bro?
Larry says Calvin's other personality takes over, and he grabs her by the throat and starts choking her, completely unprovoked.
That's when I saw her pull out a knife out of her purse.
She brought a knife with her?
Yeah, she ran into some trouble once before, and ever since then, she carries a blade around with her. She even poked him in the leg with it.
Larry said he decided he better stop and get control of this situation, so he pulled off the side of the road.
Larry says he couldn't see what was going on.
Probably in the time it took for him to walk around the car. Lucy stabbed him the second time in the chest.
Damn, what are you doing?
According to Larry, he saw Calvin stagger away, but as because Calvin was drunk.
I had no idea how bad he was hurt until I saw it on the news that morning. And that's when I went over to Lucy's and asked her if she knew about it.
He goes over to Lucy's place and he wakes her up. He says, "Hey, Calvin's dead." And her reply was, "He can't be dead because no one thought he was as hurt as he was."
I told Lucy that I was going to get a lawyer, and she better get one too, because I was going to tell the police exactly what happened.
Now, if we believe Larry, and we do, that's going to be the next arrival at the police station. And we are absolutely correct in that.
My client will not be making a statement of any kind. She exercises her right to remain silent.
Are you sure about that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, then. Now you're under arrest for murder.
So we arrest her for second-degree murder, and we inform the district attorney this is a perfect case to take to a grand jury. I think it could be justifiable homicide, but I don't get to decide that.
The members of the grand jury agree. They determine that Lucy Harr acted in self-defense and vote to drop all charges.
This is a case of people getting together late at night, one of whom has a problem with alcohol, another of whom has probably been assaulted in the past, and their paths cross. Inadvertently, how quickly life can end when those mysterious paths get crossed.
Coming up, a young woman is the victim of an accidental shooting, but Kenda senses something more sinister beneath the surface.
We are determined to learn how this happened to her.
What did you just say?
The trouble is,
it's late in the evening, and tonight, Lieutenant Joe Kenda has traded his badge for an apron.
Kathy had prepped the meal, so all I had to do was put it in the oven. Even I could do that.
It's supposed to be that color.
I'm a much better detective than I am a cook. My cooking can be described as death from within.
I'm home.
Great. You're just in time. Have a seat.
So we're about to sit down. She's all smiles.
There we go.
The phone rings.
It's Kevin.
She knows who it is, and the smile fades away quickly.
Sorry, dear.
Just come home in one piece, okay?
I always do.
It's time to go to work.
Minutes later, Kenda is on scene and gets a briefing from Detective Skip Arms.
Hey, Lieutenant.
Hey, Skip. You been inside yet?
No, Leibowitz has.
Hey, Leibowitz! So we got?
Got one victim on the way to the hospital. The shock's pretty bad.
26-year-old Alexandra Drake is in critical condition.
What happened?
We got a 911 call. Someone had been shot.
Please, hands up! Hey, hands up! Help your hand! Help her! She's in pain! She's not covered in blood!
Lewis says a man runs outside, and he is covered in blood.
Suspect come out of the house. Took him into custody.
They don't know what's going on here, but this guy's not going anyplace. You grab him and throw him in a police car.
I went in and cleared the house, and that's where I found the victim.
Leibowitz says that this woman has been shot in the chin.
And then the ambulance coming.
Obviously from close range, and she's gasping and unable to speak.
Is that the guy?
Yes, that's him. That's her boyfriend, Perry Nyland. He called 911 to say his son has been shot. But we haven't been able to get much out of him.
All right, why don't you go inside now? I'll go have a word with Mr. Nyland.
Yes, sir.
So I go over and open the door to this police car and have a chat with Mr. Nyland.
Look, I didn't mean it. All right? It was an accident. I love her.
Just take a deep breath. Tell me what happened.
I don't know. We were sitting on our couch, and I was just loading my gun. I was cleaning it, and it just went off.
What do you mean it just went off?
I don't know. My hand slipped, and it just went off.
At a minimum, it's a reckless act. At a maximum, it's intentional.
Sit tight, Mr. Nyland. I'll be back.
And we walk back into the crime scene.
Kenda joins Detective Arms and the other officers in a search of the house.
On the coffee table, there is whiskey. There's also white powder residue in his cocaine.
Somebody likes to party.
Not exactly the best time to clean a gun. Have you seen the gun?
Yeah, it's over here. 357 Magnum. Still loaded except for one shot.
To Kenda's surprise, Perry's story appears to be checking out.
In the case of disturbances, when someone is at an emotional edge and is angry, they pull the trigger until it goes click, generally. In this case, only one shot was fired.
Anything else?
Yeah. Take a look at this.
There were a number of holes in doors and in walls.
If you were an average person, you would see the damage to the walls and think, I wonder why they did that. I, as an experienced detective, look at that. Relationship.
There's holes like this all over the place.
It's got all the markings of domestic violence.
I am offended by men who treat women badly, deeply offended by that. I don't know that that's what's happening here, but I suspect that it is. I have enough to arrest him.
Take Mr. Nyland to jail for the night. Yes, sir.
Wait, hold on, stop! Wait! Hey, look, you got it wrong! It was an accident!
Okay. You made your point. We will wait and see what the evidence shows. The evidence at the moment doesn't look very promising for Mr. Nyland, but we will see.
With Perry Nyland on his way to jail, Kenda and Detective Arms head to the hospital to see Alexandra Drake.
We're here to check on the condition of Alexandra Drake.
Yeah, she came in earlier. She's in pretty bad shape.
How bad?
Well, she has a single gunshot wound that ultimately produced 4 wounds. Entry through the chin, exit through the lower chin, entrance into the upper chest, exit through her back.
Doctors had to wire her mouth shut.
Wow.
Her mom's here if you want to speak to her, though.
Okay, thanks. What room?
Room 417.
The mother perhaps can give us some background. So Arms and I, we introduce ourselves to a woman who identifies herself as Brittany Drake.
Miss Drake, this is Lieutenant Kenda. I'm Detective Arms. I'm hoping that you can shed some light on your daughter's relationship with Perry Nyland.
Alexandra and I haven't been this close in the last couple months.
Something's going on with this family that may or may not be of any of my business.
What can you tell us? How long has your daughter been seeing Perry?
She said they've lived together for about 2 years, maybe a little more. And my understanding is that this was a loving relationship. He adored her. He did everything he could for her.
How's their relationship been?
It's been good. They've seemed happy.
I was somewhat surprised by the information that Brittany gave us with the drugs and alcohol. I sort of expected Alexandra's mom to come down hard on Perry, and in fact, she did just the opposite.
All right, well, we hope for the best. Thank you for your time.
Kenda and Arms try to decipher this new information.
Well, that was interesting.
No kidding. I'm not sure how much longer we can hold Perry on those charges. I wish we had something else.
But Kenda's concerns about being able to hold Perry Nyland are soon alleviated thanks to the intake officers at the El Paso County Jail.
The hell is this? The officers did find cocaine on his person. When they looked at his previous history, we found previous charges involving weapons and drugs. The night of this incident, he was just literally minutes of coming off of his probation for his prior charges.
Perry's latest drug mishap will mean additional time behind bars, but Kenda is focused on the shooting. The next day, Kenda and Detective Arms return to the hospital with the hope of speaking to Alexandra Drake.
We recognized at some point we were going to have to try and get some confirmation as to what happened at the residence the shooting occurred.
Hi, Alexandra. I'm Lieutenant Kenda. I'm glad to see your wig. If you don't mind, I'd like to try something.
So we decide if Alexandra cannot speak, then we're going to have her reply yes or no by nodding her head.
I'm going to go nice and slow. Was Perry using cocaine the night of the shooting?
Yes. Did he do so all day? No.
Got his next set of questions. I need to be perfectly honest. Did Perry shoot you? Did he intentionally shoot you?
That caused us to pause for a few minutes. We had to kind of reflect on what she was telling us.
Wait a minute. All of the signs point to this being somebody who wanted to harm you, and you're telling us it was an accident?
It's okay, you can tell us the truth. Was this an accident?
The truth. I'm not convinced I know what happened here, and I'm not about to give up until I do know. We're investigating the shooting of Alexandra Drake, 26-year-old female, gunshot wound in the face, delivered close contact by her boyfriend companion, Perry Nyland.
Alexandra, we found something in your home. The walls had holes punched in them. Has Perry ever hit you?
He's never hurt you?
Baby, it's okay. No, it's okay. It's okay.
We're going to let you get some rest now. We'll come back if we think of any other questions. I hope you get well soon.
It's very common in women who are abused that they will defend the male companion. They will say it's their fault and they deserved it.
With Alexandra still maintaining that the shooting was accidental, Kenda has no choice but to book Perry Nyland on the lesser charge of second-degree assault.
We don't have enough information from her statements to prove it was an intentional act with a deadly weapon. Perry was able to post a bond.
While Perry remains free until his trial, Alexandra's condition takes a turn for the worse.
2 months into this event,
It's Kenda.
we get a call from Penrose Community Hospital that says that Alexandra Drake has slipped into a coma. This is not good.
Hey, how's she doing? Is there any chance of surviving?
The doctor says a chance, but she's in pretty grave shape. Her mom's been by her bedside every day.
Her mom's here now?
Yeah, actually, I'm glad that you're both here. Something happened that I feel like you should probably know about.
Missed you a lot.
She said they've been writing letters to each other, and something that the girl wrote really upset the mother. So that really piqued my interest.
Did you happen to see what she wrote?
I didn't see what was on it.
So it's pretty obvious what we're going to do. We're going to go talk to Brittany Drake and say, what's this business about letters?
Brittany, you tell us what's going on. We just want to help Alexandra.
I know. I'm sorry. Honestly, I was going to get in touch with you guys. It's just that it's been so long since I had a good relationship with Alexandra. It's just so hard.
She said, but over the last 2 months of her injury,
Do you remember the name of that place we used to go to, that lady?
and I've been here every day, we have managed to develop the relationship we had before.
I just need more time, just to let her know how much I love her.
I'm sorry it took something like this for the two of you to reconnect. Do you mind if I ask what drove you apart?
It's not an easy thing to answer. Basically, every guy she ever dated mistreated her. You know how hard it is as a mother to watch your child have those kind of relationships?
I'm a parent. I understand the nature of it. I truly do. Life is complicated. Can't teach them how to fall in love. They have to figure that out on their own. And sometimes it doesn't go so well.
So they know what she wrote on the notepad the other day? Was that about the shooting?
Yeah. I think she knew she wasn't going to make it.
She says that her daughter has been having misgivings about what she told us about this incident.
We need to tell somebody.
What did he say?
It said that he did it on purpose.
I'll get the warrant.
Thank you for being honest.
evidence, the detectives are determined to rearrest Perry Nyland. But it turns out the highway patrol beat them to it.
Mr. Nyland is out on bond, and he gets arrested for driving under the influence of alcohol. How shocking.
My girlfriend, she's dying in the hospital. It's all my fault.
Yeah. What's your name?
Listen, officer, I didn't mean to drink that much, okay? I just did.
We'll make a note of that, Mr. Nyland. About 2 weeks after Alexandra Drake falls into a coma, she dies. As a result of her death, the second-degree assault charge against Mr. Nyland for the shooting is replaced with a charge of manslaughter.
While Kenda can't be sure what exactly occurred, he believes the drugs, along with Perry Nyland's history of violence, played a major role.
Perry is a prolonged user of cocaine. They have arguments all the time about everything, including nothing.
Close down.
Why don't you shut the hell up?
I think Perry was high.
What? What'd you say?
Alexandra,
I did say.
in a moment of rage, he pulls the trigger.
On August 1st, 1986, Perry Nyland is convicted of criminally negligent homicide and sentenced to 5 years in prison.
Some people say love with a kiss. Some people say love with a look. Mr. Nyland says it with a round from a .357 Magnum revolver, but it's not accidental. Guns don't go off. They don't, unless you make them go off.
It's Halloween, and a nightmare is beginning.
That's when the hair on the back of your neck stands up.
The mystery deepens when police discover a second victim.
Over here!
He's getting out of here by the minute.
Lieutenant Joe Kenda finds himself face to face with pure evil.
He's essentially torturing these people before the kill, like cats playing with mice before they eat them.
When someone says, I'm going to kill you, it'd be in your interest to believe it. When someone feels threatened, emotions become unpredictable. How threatened are they? Emotions can take you to some very dark places. There's one thing that never changes: murder. A life has been taken. Their stories are now my stories. I never know where a case is going to lead, but I'll never stop until it's solved. Somebody has to look out for the victim. If you kill, I will find you.
It's the night before Halloween, and the streets of Colorado Springs are crawling with teenagers. There's an air of danger, both real and imagined, lurking around every corner.
There's all kinds of mischievous stuff going on. People will get their yards TP'd, and teenagers will throw eggs at people's houses. You never know what's going to happen.
"17-year-old James Horton has opted for a low-key evening at home.
I was watching a pretty scary movie on TV and trying to see how late I could stay up. Everybody else in the house was asleep.
He sees this person described as a zombie-type person walking through the yard.
I had friends that we were always playing tricks on each other, and so I thought maybe it was somebody that was just kind of messing around with me. I went over to the door, and I was being real cautious because of the freakiness of the situation.
From the front door, James doesn't see anything unusual.
The young, dumb teenager, I still went ahead and opened the door.
You okay?
When he turned his head, I noticed there was blood on the back of his neck, head area.
Dad, get out here now! We need help!
Across town, CSPD headquarters is buzzing with activity.
Hey, Lieutenant, get this. We just processed 2 vampires and a werewolf for property destruction.
Shaping up to be a long night.
Tell me about it. My first break all night.
2 or 3 days before Halloween, the activity level jumps dramatically. People drinking and wearing costumes to parties, everyone is very busy. As a result, so are the police.
Hey, Lieutenant.
It's a common thing in law enforcement that there's always the pranksters around and they take advantage of everything, including Halloween.
Copy that. Lieutenant, we just got a call of a shooting on the southeast side of town. So much for that break.
I'm in the simple act of trying to enjoy a cup of coffee, but in my business it isn't simple.
The house in question sits along an otherwise empty stretch of road.
This is practically in the middle of nowhere.
You doing, Lieutenant?
Hey, Brian. So what do we got?
We got a young male with multiple gunshot wounds to the head. He's been transported to St. Francis.
We're able to identify this individual. He's a 17-year-old high school student by the name of Benny Messina.
Any witnesses? The homeowner and his son. According to 911 operator, the son observed a zombie-like figure approaching the house and then collapse here on the porch.
When I walk up in the front porch of this home, there is blood, which I expected to see. But there's also some drag marks off the porch into an area of a bush in the yard. How'd they get there?
Yeah, about that. There's some inconsistencies in the homeowner's story. He told the officers that the victim came to the porch and collapsed, but the paramedics found him down in the bushes.
Kid certainly didn't drag himself. Where's this guy?
This guy leaning over by the patrol car over here.
I gotta talk to him.
Obviously, talking with Mr. Horton and getting the explanation of what happened on his front porch is important to us.
Mr. Horton, I'm Lieutenant Kenda.
You know, Tim.
You mind telling me what happened here this evening?
I was in the bedroom when it all started.
I know it was past midnight. My son hollered up and...
Oh, Christ, he was on the porch.
Get in there, call 911.
According to Mr. Horton, at that point he began inspecting the young man's injuries and quickly made an alarming discovery.
He has a bullet protruding from his neck.
And that bullet let me know that he had to have immediate attention or he wasn't going to make it.
So why'd you move him?
I'm retired military, and my instincts were telling me we had to act quickly.
I did not want him to die on my watch. And if I could get the situation under control, then he may have a chance to live.
I think for anybody it'd be just so shocking because you'd wondered who'd shot this person, on close behind him.
We also moved him behind the bushes to protect ourselves and him just in case the shooter was still around. Come on, help me. We've got to move him. We've got to move him over here. Easy. All right, I'm going to grab his shoulders. You're going to grab his feet, all right? Lift.
And he says, drag him off the porch and put him in those bushes in case whoever did this comes back.
Ready? Down.
The idea being to protect that victim and protect his domicile from any further attack.
Go. It's completely logical, his explanation for what he did.
I appreciate your help. No problem.
Now that detectives know why Benny Messina was moved, they return to a more basic question.
Where did he come from?
Lieutenant, there's a distinct blood trail right over here.
Grab your flashlights and see where it takes us.
We're able to identify a blood trail leading up to the front door. Backtracking that, we hope to be able to identify an exact crime scene.
The blood trail continues for approximately 30 yards before it abruptly stops near the road.
Did he even shot here?
It's hard to say. Something happened here, though.
You're looking for exactly why this location? Is this the perfect spot for a body dump?
We notice near the blood trail where it ends, there is evidence of a car losing control I believe there was a car involved that is long gone. Undoubtedly the suspect vehicle. The most likely scenario is our suspect or suspects shot this kid somewhere else. Brought him here just to dump him. Except obviously he's not dead. Our victim stands up and starts walking toward the nearest light he sees, which is the Horton house.
He now has a possible means of tracking down the shooter.
Let's collect some dirt samples for evidence. And can you get some castings to the tire track?
Tire casts are almost better than fingerprints. The system maintains records on every tire made and sold in North America, so we can identify those tires from the tread line.
As CSIs collect the tire casts, Kenda heads to St. Francis Hospital, hoping Benny Messina has survived and could perhaps shed light on the identity of the shooter.
Excuse me, I'm here to talk to Benny Messina.
I'm sorry, he's in no condition to see anybody.
Benny's in bad shape. He's got 2 gunshot wounds. One apparently is just a graze, but the other one is quite serious.
We're actually prepping him for surgery right now.
According to hospital staff, the bullet entered the back of Benny's head, but miraculously never reached his brain.
It would have killed him without question had it penetrated the bone. However, it ricocheted. The bullet missed everything that was vital. If you placed odds on this, it's 1 in a million.
In the hallway, Kenda encounters Benny Messina's father, who has just received word that his son has been shot.
Mr. Messina?
Yes, sir.
I'm Lieutenant Kenda. I'm handling your son's case. Mind if I ask you a few questions?
Of course.
He's already been told he's going to be fine. That takes a huge emotional edge away from him.
Can you tell me a little bit about Benny?
Yeah, Benny's a good student. I have a lot of friends in school.
Do you have any idea where he went tonight?
Benny's father said the last time he saw Benny was earlier that evening, and it was Benny's intention to go to a Halloween party. But Benny's father did not know where the party was or who was having the party.
But as Kenda speaks with Benny's father,
Lieutenant Kenda.
What is it?
the case takes an unexpected turn.
One of the nurses who's been attending our victim here drops a bombshell.
We have another victim.
What do you mean?
And that really surprised me. How do you know that? I don't like surprises. So we're investigating the shooting of Benny Messina when some nurse announces there's a second victim that we know nothing about.
What do you mean there's another shooting victim?
When we were getting Benny ready to go to sleep for surgery, he was telling us about his friend.
Miss Robert.
She said when they were starting to drift off, he kept asking about his friend Robert.
Wait, Benny, what is it? What's wrong? We don't have
He got shot too.
So now we have an enormous complication that we know nothing about. Who's your friend Robert? And could finding them save their life? The police immediately. We have heard nothing about a medical call at Hancock and Circle.
Dedicated dispatch. It appears we have another shooting victim at Circle and Hancock.
So we send patrol units looking for Robert Unknown.
You're definitely working against time here if they're still alive. They could die just for the fact that nobody got to them in time to save them.
While Benny Messina undergoes surgery, Kenda joins responding officers at the site of the second shooting and quickly realizes they are facing an enormous challenge.
We're surrounded by rural terrain. It's dark as you can't see your hand in front of your face. So how do we find Robert?
Hey, Ted, we've searched the immediate area in this intersection. We just can't find anything here.
We need to spread out and do a grid search. We got a lot of ground to cover. We're losing time.
Yes, sir.
You want to be able to get your team together and start a reasonably fast but thorough search of the area? Copy that.
The police are on high alert. You want to find that person, and you've just got your fingers crossed that it's going to be a happy ending.
The team scans the area, but a lengthy search yields no sign of the alleged victim.
Sir, I've checked here and here.
But then, one member of the search party radios Kenda with a possible lead.
Hold it,
Officer Price for Kenda.
Go for Kenda.
I think I found something. I'm on a dirt access road 50 yards up Circle Drive, headed northbound.
10 probably right there. All right, keep searching. Fritz?
An officer notices that there is one barricade that was placed to block access to an area, and that barricade had been moved.
Looks like somebody moved it just enough to get the vehicle through.
Well, check this out.
And there were tire tracks in the dirt.
Lieutenant Kenda, I need all responders report to the access road off Circle Drive. I'll be aware there is tire tread evidence. Let's try to preserve the evidence, but finding our victims priority one.
Copy that.
Yeah. We've got to start being careful now to make sure we're not becoming evidence eradicators.
Robert! Robert!
So now we have a place to focus.
Robert! Over here! I can't find a pulse. Got a man down. Need paramedics up there ASAP.
That gets everybody's attention really fast.
Robert! Robert, can you hear me? Robert, can you hear me? What's going on?
We bring a medical team in there. I looked at that kid when they loaded him in a gurney. And I'm not a doctor, but I have looked at literally thousands. So at that moment, my emotions are revolving around the fact that we're not done yet. We've got now 2 victims. This is getting uglier by the minute.
All right, it's officially a crime scene. Still know where the other victim was shot. It could have been here also. So we need a thorough search of every inch of the site. All right?
We start looking around this area where the body has been discovered. There ultimately is nothing except a bloodstain where he had been laying.
Still, Kenda and the team are hopeful the tire tracks may help answer one vital question.
It was the same car at both of these scenes.
I bet good money these are from the same vehicle.
You thinking Benny and Robert were both shot at this location?
Exactly.
This is Detective Ritz. Can I get a CSI over to the entrance by the sign? We're gonna need some more tire casts.
Our cases start to come together, at least tying these 2 scenes together.
I'm getting some sense of this in my own head. This is malice aforethought, scheme, and design. The plan is to kill 2 people. Let's take them to a remote area and shoot them. The elements of first-degree murder.
As the sun rises over Colorado Springs, Kenda checks in on the 2 victims.
Excuse me. I want to check on the status of Benny Messina.
Benny is out of surgery. They removed the slug, and it is a .22 caliber bullet.
We believe he will make a full recovery. He's still under the effects of the sedation, but he should be able to receive visitors later today.
Benny's out of the picture because of his anesthesia. So now what about Robert?
Unfortunately, Robert's a different story. He was pronounced dead on arrival.
The deceased is identified as 18-year-old Robert Costello, a high school senior.
Robert was born in Germany but was raised in Colorado Springs. He's a good kid, well-educated kid, does very well in school, and has a part-time job in a bicycle shop.
Do they have a cause of death?
Yes, it was from a single gunshot wound from a .22 caliber. We've notified Robert's family, and his stepmother, Cindy, ID'd the body.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Kenda hopes that a conversation with Robert Costello's family will offer some additional insight.
You are now faced with a mother who knows her son isn't coming home anymore. You have to be extremely careful. You try to understand their circumstances and their pain. But at the same time, you have an obligation to investigate the death of their son.
Mrs. Costello? I'm Lieutenant Kenda. I know it's a difficult time. I need your help in order to find out what happened to Robert. Do you mind if I ask you a few questions?
I understand, it's okay.
She's very emotional.
He's good friends with Robert. They both could have Harrison High School. They're always together, but I honestly didn't know what they were up to tonight. I'm sorry.
Well, that's okay. That's our job to find out. Do you know if Robert had any enemies?
And she becomes even more distressed.
There's been threats made against my entire family. Of course, I was concerned, but I just never think somebody could actually go through with it.
Now that rings a very strong bell. Who could it be making those kinds of threats?
Well, you know,
willing to end Robert's life, probably. We're investigating the shootings of Benny Messina, who has survived the attack, and Robert Costello, who did not survive. And Robert's stepmother tells me my entire family has been threatened, and that raises an eyebrow.
My other son, Colin, he's Robert's stepbrother. He's been having some trouble with another boy in his class.
She reports that her son, Colin, tells her that he is threatened directly by a person whose name is Brian Cast, who tells Colin Costello that you and your entire family are dead.
If I had been Robert's stepmom, at that point I would have been terrified.
Well, did Brian Cast make good in his threat by shooting Colin's older brother Robert? And was Benny Messina merely collateral damage? People often say because it's a kid to another kid that it's an idle threat. But a kid will pull a trigger faster than an adult will. So when a kid says to somebody, I'm going to kill you, it'd be in your interest to believe it.
Later that day, Brian Cast's mother brings her son to the station for questioning.
Brian, thanks for coming in. Have a seat.
This better not take all day. We find him to be standoffish, kind of a smart aleck at times, doesn't really appreciate the seriousness of the nature that we're there for.
We have a report you've been making threats against your classmate, Colin Costello, and his family.
I might have said something, so I didn't do anything.
And Mr. Cast, you are here because we are investigating a first-degree murder and an attempt at another one.
It would be in your best interest to pay attention to what I had to say.
Listen, I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, I'm concerned. You just admitted making threats against the Costellos. And now Colin's brother's dead.
Now he looks like what he is. A little kid.
I might have said those things, but I was just bluffing. Colin was picking on me, and I just needed something to get him to back off.
Why don't you tell me what instigated the entire thing?
Colin and I both play soccer. A few weeks ago, a bunch of us were having a practice match. Jimmy!
He goes on to say that he is tripped during a soccer game by Colin. They have words.
What the hell was that for?
Colin's friends come to Colin's aid and announce they're going to kick this kid's ass. He becomes afraid.
I knew the only way to get him off my back was if I turned the tables on them. You put one finger on me and you'll regret it. You and your whole family are dead.
So he makes that threat to defend himself from what he thinks is a group of people who want to hurt him.
I swear, it was all an act. I don't know anything about the shooting. It's the honest truth. Do you believe me?
Yourself comfortable. I'm gonna make a phone call.
So let's talk to Colin, and let's confirm that what Brian tells me is in fact the truth, and then we can close the matter. When we speak to Colin about this, he freely admits he never told his mother about tripping the kid at soccer because he'd get yelled at. It's much better to report to your mother that you are a victim.
Well, Brian, your story checks out. You're free to go.
So now we've eliminated our first and only suspect. Brian Cast is out the window.
With Benny Messina still recovering from surgery, Kenda returns to the hospital and tracks down Benny's mother, Martha.
My purpose in discussing things with the mother is obvious. Mothers tend to know everything about their sons.
Can't think of anyone that would want to harm them.
Just as she knows a man whose name is Jose Fernandez Sr., who is a male in his 40s, and she's heard Jose Fernandez Sr. threaten Benny over the phone. Now, why is he threatening a 17-year-old?
Kenda learns that Jose's son, Joe Jr., was good friends with Benny and Robert.
And she says that Benny, Robert, and Joe Fernandez had gotten into a little bit of trouble at the high school.
According to Martha, a few months ago, the three friends decided to skip class.
You should just skip the rest of the day.
I agree.
Guys, oh my gosh, check this out.
It's the teacher's car that was left in the parking lot of school with the windows down. And the keys were in it, on the dash.
Dude, no, it's just for a little bit. Nobody's even gonna notice.
They see it, they take it, they go to lunch, they drive around.
Steal a car of another student. They stole a teacher's car.
And they abandon the car, and they return to school and go back to class if nothing happened. It's a classic joyride.
Except all three young men got caught and were arrested and charged with theft.
This was just stupid teenage boy stuff. Give them a little space, give them an opportunity, and a lot of times they'll use it to its absolute worst advantage.
Benny Messina's offered a deal, and he takes it. He's going to get a summons and complaint and probation. Costello takes the same deal.
Their friend, Joe Jr., chose to fight the charges. However, as part of Benny and Robert's plea deal, they agreed to testify against Joe Jr. His father, Jose Fernandez Sr., was furious.
Goes from a telephone conversation threatening Benny over this testimony business to Mr. Fernandez Sr. showing up at the Messina home.
According to Martha, 2 weeks earlier, an inebriated Jose Sr. came to their house, pounding on the door and threatening her husband, Thomas.
Open the door! Hey, what's going on here? Are you really gonna let your son tell lies in court about Joe?
Listen, buddy. He will testify in court. All the truth.
Your kid's a liar. My Joe didn't do anything. He didn't steal that car with them. Benny better get that straight if he knows what's good for him.
He was going to protect his kid, whatever's necessary.
Why would a father go to the extreme of threatening people about testifying against his son for a simple auto theft case? I don't know. It doesn't make sense.
Intrigued, Kenda sends a couple of officers to the Fernandez home to speak with Jose Sr.
In the meantime, I'll do a little digging on my own into Jose Sr.'s background.
Lieutenant, here's that file I requested. There's not much in it.
Okay, thank you.
We were shocked to learn that Fernandez Sr. had never been arrested by anybody for any reason. He was a cabinet maker by trade. It was viewed by his supervisors as an excellent worker, one of the best at the company.
The more we look into this, it's kind of like, is this guy really somebody who went out and killed somebody?
20 minutes later, Kenda gets a call that could answer that question.
334 to Lieutenant Kenda.
Go for Kenda.
Hey, Lieutenant, we're at the Fernandez residence right now. And you're going to want to see this.
There's a vehicle out there and it has what appears to be blood staining on it.
10-4, I'll be right there.
My velocity of blood splatter comes from one thing, gunshot. There is no doubt in my mind that this is the car. We're investigating the death of Robert Costello. We have developed a new suspect, Jose Fernandez Sr., whose son was a participant in an auto theft with the two victims. I sent officers to his house to question him. They observed high-velocity blood spatter on the bumper of the family car.
So what do you got?
We've not talked to the residents yet.
Okay, I got a search warrant. Let's go.
The officers try a normal knock and they get no response. So we then move to the police knock. And it's Jose Fernandez Sr.
He sees our guns and immediately slams the door. That's when the hair on the back of your neck stands up. Is he going to get guns and start shooting it out with us?
Police, open the door, Jose. Let's do this the easy way.
We inform him that we're investigating a homicide, and his family rides sitting in the driveways, leaving with us by warrant.
Jose, open the door slowly, where I can see your hand. This is ridiculous. You can't do this. You've got no right.
Actually, we do, Mr. Fernandez. Now stay right here while men search your house.
Dad, what's going on?
And out comes Jose Fernandez Jr.
Never mind, go back to your room.
Actually, Joe, I want you to stay here with us.
So the first question we ask is, you have a gun in this house?
No.
So you're saying even if you own a gun, we're not going to find one in this house?
Absolutely not.
No.
Hey, Lieutenant.
So that's not your gun? Well, since both of you lied to me, both of you are going to go downtown until we sort this out. Go ahead and cuff him.
Turn around.
They give instructions to remove and preserve the vehicle for evidence gathering, and now I have a lot to discuss with this father and son duo.
Back at the station, Kenda is seated with a much more composed Jose Fernandez Sr.
I have a few theories about what happened to those two kids, but I'd like to hear the truth out of your own mouth.
Sure. I've got nothing to hide.
He has a very simple story. He was home asleep and knows nothing, and doesn't have anything else to say.
We've got a report that you recently threatened a minor, Benny Messina.
I never threatened anyone. I just asked him to tell the truth about my son.
What was that?
That he's innocent. He's not a car thief. He's a great kid.
Mr. Fernandez immediately puts both oars in the water and begins to row across the lake. Everybody in the world is lying except Mr. Fernandez.
Well, the one thing you can't deny is that
They even handle the gun.
well, if that's the case, it leads me to believe it belongs to your son.
No, absolutely not.
Settle down.
Jose Sr. just absolutely could not accept even really a pretty minor judgment that his kid was not a great kid.
Would you be willing to do a gunshot residue test?
Sure.
We do a GSR test on Fernandez Sr. to show whether you fired or handled a handgun in the past 24 hours or so.
Kenda is hopeful the GSR test will cement Jose Sr. as the shooter.
When we are able to conduct that test, we come up with the negative results.
So Fernandez Sr., despite his bravado, certainly we have him being an astounding liar, but we don't have him pulling a trigger.
With Jose Sr. ruled out as possible shooter, Kenda turns his attention to Joe Jr.
Fernandez Jr. is different than his father in the sense that he does have a criminal past. It's a minor criminal past. It's petty offenses.
Relax, your dad's not here. I just want to get your side of the story, okay?
Okay, sure. He says he had been with Benny and Robert earlier that evening, met him at a 7-Eleven, and they had a couple of beers.
We were just out talking for a little bit, and then I left and took off and went home. I don't know what they did after that.
And that's the whole story.
Yeah, do you really think I'd hurt my friends?
Well, I'd like to get a couple swabs of your hands.
All right.
Officer?
We take the GSR kit from Joe Jr. I have to explain to him what it is. And you could see it in his face. Like, uh-oh, he knows that that's going to be positive.
Sir, actually, I do have something I need to tell you. I remembered something. I went target shooting this morning, so that test might come back positive.
Oh, really? With a gun you don't have? He just looks at me. He said, well, there was this other kid I know. What other kid?
I don't know.
You know a lot, do you? They come back with a test result. They're positive. And now, little Mr. Arrogant is scared to death. When I was about to go after him about all the lies,
The hospital called Benny Messina has been cleared to give his statement.
All right, come on the way.
now Benny being awake is a lot more important to me. As I was leaving that room, I looked at Joe Jr. and I said, you know, when you shoot people, you gotta make sure they're dead. We have confronted to talk to a living victim, a rarity in these cases.
After questioning both Joe Jr. and Jose Sr., Kenda heads back to the hospital to speak with Benny Messina. Kenda's hopeful Benny can spell out exactly what happened the night of the shooting.
Lieutenant Kenda, I'm sorry about what happened.
His neck, of course, is heavily bandaged, and he's distressed over the death of his friend. But he's willing and able to tell me what happened.
Well, all this trouble kind of started when we stole the teacher's car. I don't know why Joe was denying it. If he would have just confessed, like me and Robert, we'd probably just get probation too.
So Joe Jr. was angry at you for testifying?
Oh, no. I mean, he told me that he knew why we were doing this, like he understood it, but his dad was still really pissed at us.
Want to walk me through what happened that night?
He says that he and his friend, Robert, are making a coffin in Benny's garage for a Halloween party they've been invited to.
Okay, do it.
is awesome.
They're laughing about death, and little do they know that Halloween's going to get very real for them in a short amount of time.
Oh, it's gonna scare a lot of kids.
They're getting ready to leave.
Hello?
They get called by Jose Jr. Wants to get together.
According to Benny, a few hours later, they met up with Joe Jr. at the party.
So, what do you guys want to do?
I was thinking we could just drive around and see what's going on.
Parents want me home by midnight.
Screw that. Let's get out of here.
They ended up off Circle and Hancock in a new construction area.
There was some construction barriers still up there, kind of stopping cars from going through the road.
Wait, why are we here?
Help me move this barricade. Okay, but what are we even doing here?
It's Devil's Night. We should steal something.
Like what? Oh.
Blinky light.
Oh. Come on, let's go check out what they got.
And Joe Jr. drives the car into an even darker area.
Benny tells Kenda that's when things took a dangerous turn.
Check this out.
Whoa, is that a real gun?
Yeah? Let's play Russian roulette.
No way, man.
Fine.
What the hell, man? Are you nuts?
I'm gonna shoot you for narking on me.
Benny sees him go down. He turns his face away from the gunfire, taking that grazing wound in his head.
What are you doing, man?
Oh my God, man.
Joe Jr. has a change of heart. Is he overcome by the guilt of what he's done?
Let me get you to a hospital. Come on.
Benny is scared to death. He has suffered a grazing gunshot wound, but it bleeds profusely. So Benny gets in the car. What about Robert? And Joe says, he's dead. Let's go.
Your next thought is, I need to get away from this person. How am I going to start doing that?
Okay, hurry up, bro. I'm bleeding everywhere.
I am. We have to go get my dad first.
What? Why? We're like 10 minutes away from the hospital.
Look, my dad will know what to do in a situation like this. We have to go get him. Dude, I am so sorry.
I was in his car, and I thought he was bringing me to the hospital, but he picked up his dad.
Dad gets in the car and takes over.
Where's Costello?
Dead.
Benny thinks they're going to go to St. Francis Hospital, but Joe Jr. turns the other way. He has no idea what to do.
Where are we going? Shut up. Time for you to join your friend Costello.
So Benny decides he's got to try to save his life.
He decided to grab the steering wheel and yanked it real hard to the right.
And they lose control of the car.
You little bastard! That's it!
Joe Sr. is furious when the car stops. Drags Benny out of the car and proceeds to punch and kick him in the face and chest.
Benny claims that's when Joe Jr. took out the gun and fired one final shot into the back of his head.
That'll do it.
Benny is smart enough to play dead, and then he waits to make certain they're gone. He feels a lump in his neck. He doesn't know what that is.
That's the bullet that travels around the skull and becomes lodged in the neck. Anybody else probably would have killed him. It just wasn't his day.
And he sees a light. It's a house. And he staggers toward that house to get help. That is a remarkable story.
Benny Messina's statement cements the case against Jose Fernandez Sr. and his son, Joe Jr.
Everything that the major accident team investigators said happened was corroborated by Benny.
We had the tire tracks at both scenes. And our traffic experts are able to look at these and say the pattern is absolutely consistent.
The architect of this entire affair.
Dad actively participated in this. He endangered other lives because he couldn't accept the fact that maybe his son did do an auto theft.
Joe Fernandez Jr. pleads guilty to second-degree murder and attempted first-degree murder and is sentenced to 32 years. Jose Fernandez Sr. is convicted of conspiracy to commit first-degree murder, attempted first-degree murder, and second-degree kidnapping. He is sentenced to 30 years in prison.
The real tragedy here is that these young men's lives were ruined. Many, somehow by a miracle, survived, but will always be dealing with the aftermath of these events.
Robert had his whole life ahead of him. He was a senior in high school, getting ready to graduate. It's a tragedy that somebody had to take his life out there that night.
Who would believe that a father, in a supposed desire to save his son, destroy his son, himself, and his own family, ultimately over nothing?
Riveting investigations from the case files of Lieutenant Joe Kenda.
What's going on with your face? What happened?
First, a grainy videotape becomes the only lead in a deadly shootout.
We know there was conflict between two groups.
Hey, watch your mouth.
And we know there's two separate gunshots.
Video doesn't lie. Cameras see everything. They're the key.
Then, a shocking attack.
Mr. Howard?
On a 97-year-old man.
We're all vulnerable, but especially when you're old and can't take care of yourself.
What sinister motive is behind this vicious assault?
Why didn't somebody tell me?
Who else is involved in covering up the facts here?
If your anger and your emotions are out of control, they have a tendency to come back and haunt you. Always. Emotion trumps everything, including human life. There's one thing that never changes: murder. A life has been taken. Their stories are now my stories. I never know where a case is going to lead, but I'll never stop until it's solved. Somebody has to look out for the victim. If you kill, I will find you.
It's Saturday night in Colorado Springs. And store clerk Loretta Chandler is minutes away from wrapping up her shift.
She's ringing up a purchase for a woman inside the store.
Hey, listen, I was thinking about buying a lottery.
And as she's ringing, they hear this pop.
This caused both of them to give each one kind of a quizzical look, like, what did we just hear? Was that a car backfire?
As they're standing there, just trying to put it together what might have happened. They hear a second pop, and then oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my
god. Across town, Lieutenant Joe Kenda is winding down after another long day.
It was a time of night when it was time for me to get some sleep if I could. Then the phone rings and you go, no bed tonight.
Kenda.
I never seem to get the criminals who break the law in the morning. Oh, no.
That store again?
It's always
15 minutes later, Kenda arrives at the scene and is greeted by Detective Brian Ritz.
So here we are again, huh?
Here we are again.
What do we got this time?
Victim's ID'd as Willie McKay. He's 20. Took a gunshot wound to the chest, probably an exit wound. Then collapsed inside the store. He's at Memorial Hospital right now.
What happened?
Witnesses say it happened over here in the lot, and then he walked inside the store. What we don't know is exactly where in the lot he actually got shot.
Usually with a firearm, you get some kind of shell casing. So we're looking for physical evidence that might help identify the exact location of the scene.
Even if investigators happen to find shell casings in the parking lot, there's no guarantee they were discharged during this particular incident.
It's been an open-air drug market in that particular area for quite a few years, no matter what police efforts have been put in there.
It would not be uncommon to find expended casings and slugs in this parking lot that had nothing to do with the shooting of Willie McKay.
But then, Kenda hits pay dirt.
Hey, Brian.
got 2 380 casings. We got drops of blood here. They look fresh. Might have happened right here. How you doing? We got 2 cases. Want to go ahead and process those? Yes, sir. The EMTs mentioned an exit wound, right?
We did.
Let's see if we can find a slug.
The human body is very dense, so a great deal of the energy of the bullet is absorbed by passing through the body and is generally close in the area where the victim was found. We search the lot and we do find a perfectly formed .380 caliber slug.
Think this is our gun? It's gotta be in. Look there. Still got bullet wipe on it.
Bullet wipe is human blood that is seared onto the surface of the slug by the heat of this projectile passing through the body at supersonic speed.
We're pretty sure that we're looking at the bullet that struck our victim.
Hey, Lieutenant. We got a witness back here. Says he basically saw the whole thing go down.
I'll go talk to him. Why don't you go inside and see what you think?
The uniformed officers at the scene introduced us to an individual named James McGraw.
Mr. McGraw?
Yes.
I'm Lieutenant Kenda. I understand you were outside and this all happened?
I was standing over there by my car.
It was pretty crazy to see this all unfold. I kind of knew something bad was about to happen. I just had a gut feeling. They were going at it for like a few seconds, then the dude pulled out the gun and shot it up in the air. I was frozen. I couldn't really move. I was just kind of stuck in the moment.
After that, all hell kind of broke loose. Then I saw another guy get into a guy's face and throw a punch. And at that point, I heard a second gunshot.
The guy was standing in the parking lot like he was in a total daze. So then he made his way towards the convenience store. I kind of started to make my way in there. When I walked into the store, the victim had fallen to the floor, and it was blatantly obvious he had a chest wound.
When do you get a paper towel or a rag or something? Hang in there, buddy.
I'll never forget the sound of the gurgling and the dress he was taking. I mean, it was really hard to watch.
Hang in there, buddy.
You happen to hear anything they were saying? Any names?
No. All I know is there's really bad blood between these people.
This confrontation goes to the max the minute those people arrive, which is a clear indicator that there is prior involvement between these individuals, and they don't like each other.
Thank you for your cooperation. He's free to go.
After questioning James McGraw, Kenda enters the store, where Detective Ritz has located another key piece of evidence.
At this point, in 1995, convenience stores have gotten wise to the fact that it's handy to have video cameras mounted, mostly because they get robbed so much.
Witnesses make mistakes, witnesses get emotional, witnesses don't see things that are there to be seen. Cameras see everything.
So who's working the counter, Coretta?
Yeah, I just talked to her. She says the cameras are all working.
Good, I told her after last time they need to be fixed.
She went to get the tapes.
Here you go, Joe.
Excellent. Thanks, Coretta.
Good luck.
Appreciate it. Yeah, we'll take a look at these when we get back to the station.
Yeah.
First, let's go to the hospital, see if we can find out anything about the victim. Sounds good?
At Memorial Hospital, detectives learn Willie McKay is hanging on by a thread.
Ritz and I go to the intensive care unit waiting room, and we find Tina Parker, who is Willie's sister.
How are you, Miss Parker? We're all hoping that Willie pulls through. And I know it's a very difficult time, but there's a few questions that we need to ask.
He's a good brother. He's been down on his luck a little bit, but he didn't deserve this.
We asked, do you know if your brother, Willie, has any enemies or people he's had trouble with in the recent past?
You know, there's this guy named D. They've been going at it for a while.
Is that his name? D?
There's been bad blood. I've seen it with my own eyes. About 2 weeks ago, I was taking the trash out behind our place.
What's up with that? You trying to bring me down?
Ain't talking if it's true, huh?
Keep talking, man. Best to shut your
What? So now we not only have D hating Willie, D has a gun.
After they were fighting, Willie just went back inside the house. D, I don't know where he went.
While we're talking with Tina, the intensive care unit doctor comes in, and it's pretty clear to us he has some sinceries to tell her.
I'm sorry. We did everything we could. We just couldn't save your brother.
I'm very sorry.
As we were leaving, I just said to her, I will find who hurt your brother. That's what I do.
Back at headquarters, detectives hope the security tapes from the convenience store will be the key to identifying Willie's killer.
You have to keep in mind, at that point in time, this was old, grainy, black and white tape.
The quality is just awful. Somebody's own mother couldn't recognize them in this tape.
Can't make out what's going on. It's just a lot of pushing and shoving.
Yeah. The tape clearly shows an altercation in the store's parking lot, but that's just about the only thing that is clear. However, the video's not entirely useless.
What's that in the rear window of the car the shooter's getting in? Almost looks like a temporary tag. That means the car's been purchased in the last month. Yeah, but from where? It looks like a Honda.
How many could there be? They were sold to an African American between 28 and 30 years of age, who goes by the nickname D.
We have to hope that it's a local dealer, but it is at least a lead.
What the dealer can probably produce for us is a name. And once I have a name, we're in business. We're investigating the shooting death of Willie McKay at a local convenience store. Right now, the only leads I have are a grainy video and a guy who once threatened Willie, who goes by the name of D.
The following morning, Detective Brian Ritz returns with an update.
So it turns out that car was leased not 3 weeks ago to a guy named Dirk Waters.
Wonder if Dirk Waters is our man D.
Dirk Waters.
Kenda here. Really? Okay, we'll be right down. Get this. Looks like we don't have to go looking for Dirk Waters.
You're kidding.
Yeah, he's downstairs with somebody. Says they want to come forward as witnesses.
Our fortune increases dramatically.
Hi, I'm Lieutenant Kenda, Detective Ritz.
How you doing? I'm Dirk Waters. How you doing, sir? Dirk Waters.
Hi, Angela Cutter.
I understand you two were outside when Willie McKay was shot.
Yes, sir. We just came here to explain to y'all what we witnessed.
We don't have any probable cause to believe this guy is a suspect. And in our initial conversation, it's really more of a conversation, not an interrogation.
But all of that changes in an instant.
When we saw the newspaper this morning, the guy died. I told D we should go to the police and say something.
Well, my.
You go by D?
Yes, sir, I do.
We now know that this is at least a good suspect.
Angela, why don't you go with Detective Ritz? Mr. Waters, if you come with me.
Okay. So you always separate individuals so that there's no collusion going on between the storytelling.
Have a seat. So tell me about last night.
It was me and a group of friends just kicking it in the apartment. About around 9 o'clock, me and Angela decided we wanted to get some snacks from the store. There was a guy, Junior, at the apartment. Didn't really know him, but, he was like a friend of a friend. He decided to ride with us.
Dirk Waters explains that while Angela was inside the store, he and Junior were hanging out in the parking lot.
We're kicking it outside, and next thing you know, Willie pulled up.
Don't call me that.
So Willie just came out of nowhere? Why? Do you know him?
Waters explains that he knows Willie from a social perspective.
Met him through a friend. But lately, he's just been tripping, bugging out on me. Saying I have a thing for his sister.
I understand it, yup. So yeah,
Dana! What's going on? Talk to me.
Hey, bro, what's up with you having eyes for my sister, dog?
Are you a married man? Cuz you know you can't be doing that.
You better watch your mouth, boy.
Maybe I should call the MPs down at Fort Carson, man. I know you've been cheating on your wife.
This infuriates Waters because he's been in the Army for 8 years. He intends to make the Army his career. The military has very strict rules about adultery. They see it as a crime.
Like he really pissed you off. Pissed enough to shoot him.
I didn't shoot him.
Are you saying that wasn't you either?
He immediately admits to it.
Yeah, I did it.
I was so angry, I pulled out a handgun that I had and I fired in the air to make Willie go away.
So at the store, maybe that was a chance to finish things once and for all.
I'm telling you, man, I didn't shoot him. It looked weird, but I ain't shoot that guy. As soon as we heard the gunshot, we got the hell on. Me, Angela, and June.
Dirk goes on to explain that people in the neighborhood, they all know that there's bad blood between Willie and I. And when I saw in the paper that Willie had died, I thought I better get down here to the police station and explain myself.
That's why I came down.
In an adjoining interview room, Detective Ritz is pressing Angela for her version of what happened.
I didn't know anyone actually got shot until I read it in the paper this morning.
Is that right? Angela tells me she's inside the convenience store. She hears the commotion, and she hears the shot. As she comes out of the convenience store, Dirk grabs her and Junior and says, "Let's get out of here."
So you didn't see the shooter?
No.
All right, what happened next?
We just dropped Junior off at some corner, and then we went back to my friend's apartment.
Okay, where's Junior now?
I don't know.
Told you I just met the guy. I haven't seen him since.
When people talk to me in difficult circumstances, I believe no one. You're saying A, I hated Willie. You're saying B, I fired a gun within 3 feet of Willie on a prior occasion 2 weeks ago. But oh, I didn't fire this gun.
Even though Kenda and Ritz have their doubts about Dirk and Angela's story, they have nothing concrete on which to hold them.
Nothing led to probable cause to believe that they had committed a crime. So we took their statements and subsequently let them go out the front door of the police station.
Dirk Waters still remains at the top of Kenda and Ritz's suspect list until a tip comes in that takes the investigation in a whole new direction.
Hey, Lieutenant. So we just got a phone call from somebody asking if we've picked up David Reese yet for the murder of Willie McKay.
Who's David Reese?
Pull this file. He's a late 20s African-American male, just got out of prison. Can you guess his alias?
Junior.
Bingo.
Well, now that fits very nicely. Because Dirk says, and Angela says, the third person in the car was Junior.
What do you know? Maybe our friend Dirk was telling us the truth after all.
Don't ever assume you're right until you know you are. There is never, ever an end until you reach it. This investigation all along has said that Dirk, a.k.a. D, is the person we're looking for. But now we've discovered there's another individual who may be the one. What I don't know yet is what his motive is.
Our informant also told us that Junior here is staying in an apartment complex over on the east side.
Okay, let's set up on that place, see what kind of activity's going on before we move in. Thanks.
Less than an hour later, Detective Brian Ritz is on the east side with his eyes fixed on a ground floor apartment.
It's a very important part of police work, is sometimes just watching, listening, and looking.
Someone approaches the apartment door, but it's not who Ritz was expecting.
I'm looking for a black male to go into this room, and I see a young white female, something we didn't expect.
We're dealing with an anonymous informant. How accurate is this? Well, there's only one way to find out.
It's time to end the stakeout and start making contact. You're not going in with guns drawn or anything like that, because it could be completely innocent. But you're on alert.
May I help you?
Man, my name's Detective Brian Ritz. What's your name?
Maria Bates?
Miss Bates, I'm looking for Junior. Do you know him?
Yeah, Junior's my boyfriend.
Is he here?
No.
you mind if I come in for a second?
Sure.
So how may I help you, Detective?
How long have you known Junior?
A few months now.
I'm investigating the shooting down at the mini mart the other night.
Miss Bates says she happened to be with Dee, Junior, and Angela the night that Willie got shot.
We were at one of Junior's friends' apartments and we were just drinking and chilling.
Maria painted a scene in which everybody was drinking. Dee was playing around with a gun, and he was getting more and more agitated, talking about this person he knew that was telling lies about him.
Okay, baby. Trying to snitch on me, talking about cheating on my wife. What did I do to my career? They give me a dishonorable discharge.
When did they leave?
I don't know exactly what time, but they did go to make a liquor and snack run. They came back about an hour later.
She said when they came back,
What's going on with your face?
Junior had a cut on his face.
What's going on, guys? Nothing.
Let's just get out.
Yes, I'm calling about Willie McKay was admitted.
Hey, man, come on. Baby, nothing. We ain't talking to her.
Oh. He's dead.
What happened after that?
Junior and I left.
Where is he now?
I don't know. I haven't seen him since yesterday.
We need to hear from you if you see him again, if he calls, anything.
Sure.
Appreciate that.
We have a statement from Angela that they dropped Junior off on the road and then went home. Now we have Maria saying that Junior, Angela, and Dee showed up at the apartment.
Detective Ritz wonders, had Dirk and Angela been lying during their initial interview? Or was Maria lying to them now in order to cover for Junior? Kenda finds out the answer that afternoon.
We recovered enhanced images from the videotape. They're certainly not perfect, but it's clear in one of these photos that when Willie comes in and falls across the counter, Angela is standing inside the store.
Kenda decides it's time to haul Angela Cutter back down to the station for another interview.
I don't think you've been truthful with us.
What do you mean?
Well, you said you didn't hear Willie been shot until you'd read it in the newspaper. Looks to me like he's bleeding out right in front of you. Why don't you just tell me the truth? You know who shot Willie.
It was Junior. He shot him. I was afraid to say anything because, Junior just got out of prison. I thought he'd come after me and Dirk if we snitched.
She finally says that when this confrontation happens, Willie and Dee are yelling at each other. And Junior pulls out a gun and fires a shot in the air.
Angela tells Kenda that after Junior fired that first shot, Willie McKay took the confrontation to the next level.
Junior is a street person. He's been in jail. He doesn't tolerate this behavior from people. You hurt me? Watch this. Willie then staggers inside the store.
Kenda and Ritz have what they need to arrest David Reese, aka Junior. Reese is ultimately convicted of manslaughter and sentenced to 16 years in prison. Dirk Waters and Angela Cutter are never charged.
Human emotion is an incredible thing. It can create circumstances that result in violent death. In this particular case, Willie McKay's anger and emotions were out of control, and he paid the ultimate price for it.
Coming up, a vicious attack leaves an elderly man on the brink of death. The case seems cut and dried, but Kenda smells a rat.
If you lied to me, I'm going to find out, and you're not going to like it when I do.
After helping win a conviction in a hard-fought double homicide case, Lieutenant Joe Kenda is celebrating with a little light housekeeping.
It's always a very good feeling when you end a case with the incarceration of the accused. But those moments of success can be interrupted by someone walking into your office and telling you what your next problem is.
Hey, Lieutenant, I just got something. I think you're going to be a part of this.
What's up?
A woman just called from the hospital, and she claims that her 97-year-old father, John Howard, was attacked.
What the hell? 97?
What a horrible thing. 97 years old and you've been assaulted? How could this be? Well, it's easy, really. There are humans on this planet.
What's his condition?
Not really sure, but it doesn't sound good.
Let's get down there.
When you get a call like this, various scenarios start running through your mind.
We only know what we've been told. He's been assaulted, and he may die as a result.
Hello, I understand you have John Howard here?
Yes, he was admitted 9 days ago.
9 days?
I'm troubled by the fact that we're 9 days into this before we even know about it. Time is your enemy in criminal investigations.
Yes, he was admitted due to blunt force trauma to the side of his head. His jaw was broken in 2 spots.
How is he now?
Not well. He went through surgery, okay, but he was so weakened that he got pneumonia. He's in ICU.
Surgery is difficult at any age, but it's very difficult for an elderly person to survive pneumonia. He's basically near death.
Would it be possible to speak to him?
Sure.
Inside John Howard's room, Kenda meets the man's daughter, Jamie, who's keeping vigil by her father's side.
Jamie Howard?
Yes.
I'm Lieutenant Kenda, the Detective Arms. You called us.
Yes.
How's your father?
He's stable. It's tough, but he's a fighter.
Jamie, can you tell us exactly what happened?
Well, he's been a patient at Norton's nursing home for about 8 years. And I thought it was a great place until today. I don't know.
Jamie explains that earlier that morning she drove down from Denver for a surprise visit with her father. But when she arrived at the nursing home...
Hey, Dad? Dad? Hey, Dad?
Her dad was nowhere to be found.
What the hell? Where's my father? John Howard.
John Howard?
Yes.
He fell and hurt himself. He was taken to St. Francis Hospital. Been there over a week.
A week? Why didn't somebody tell me?
I'm sorry.
She immediately drove to St. Francis Hospital and was horrified when she saw the condition her father was in.
Dad.
The bandaging, the bruising, the respirator, intensive care. He looked horrible.
Fist in eye.
What she heard him say was simply fist and eye. He didn't make any other comments, and that's all she heard.
I looked at him in the bed, and there's not a mark on his arm. The only mark is on his face. Unless he found a way to fall and land on his face only, he didn't fall down.
Somebody did this to him. And I find it a little weird that they didn't immediately tell me about it.
Well, you did the right thing by calling us. We'll get to the bottom of it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is it an accident? Is it intentional? Could be either one. We are beginning with an injured patient. We have to end with an explanation for how this injury occurred.
Detectives begin their investigation at Norton's nursing home, where John Howard's injury allegedly took place.
We see a 30-something nurse talking to a woman in her 70s. And as we approach, the young nurse nervously walks away immediately.
Excuse me. I'm Lieutenant Kenda, Detective Arms, from the Colorado Springs Police Department. Can we speak to the manager here, please?
That would be me, Olga. Olga Pratt. I'm the owner and head of nursing here.
Remember
Yes, that was quite a fall.
Nurse Janet York told Olga what she witnessed.
She walked by Mr. Howard's room and heard some moaning coming from inside the room.
Mr. Howard? Hello? Oh my God! Mr. Howard, Kenny, what happened?
I don't know. He must have hit his head on the toilet. I just turned around for a second to grab something and I heard him fall.
Nurse Janet and the orderly, Kenneth Berzinas, helped Mr. Howard to his bed.
Janet thought it was best to get an ambulance, so she called 911, and he was immediately transported to St. Francis.
I'm always curious about who is present when bad things happen. Where is Kenneth Berzinas right now?
Can we speak to Kenneth?
Oh, he's not here. If a patient is injured in the care of an orderly, well, the policy is immediate suspension.
Miss Pratt, I have to tell you that according to John's daughter, he said he was punched.
She says, well, Mr. Howard has been a difficult patient.
Mr. Howard has quite the reputation for making up stories around here.
On many occasions, he has claimed abuse by orderlies, but in every one of those cases, it was just orderlies doing their job, and no one abused him.
Okay, well, we'll be in touch. Thank you.
Of course.
That afternoon, detectives run a background check on Kenneth Berzinas.
What do you guys have fun?
37. He's an Army vet. He's worked at the nursing home for 6 months, but his record is spotless and no prior arrests.
I want to get a hold of Mr. Berzinas and see what he has to say.
So I intend to get an explanation from him as to exactly where he was when this injury occurred. Did he witness the fall or only the aftermath?
Hey, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you guys.
As I was considering that, a knock comes on the door.
There's a woman out front, goes by the name of Janet, said she would like to speak with you.
Send her.
Yes, sir.
Well, that's the witness and assistant to his injury. And she is further the very same nurse I just saw at Norton's, who nervously walked away as we presented our badges.
Thanks for coming in. Have a seat.
Thank you.
So I didn't get a chance to talk to you earlier. You kind of scurried away.
Yeah.
I wanted to remind her that I knew she'd walked away from me, and she was immediately nervous again.
So what can we do for you?
Well, I have some information on John Howard.
Well, if it was important enough to bring you here, that's important enough to tell us.
His injury, it wasn't a slip and fall.
Well, my, Janet. Now we're getting into an area that I understand well. We're investigating an injury that occurred to a 97-year-old nursing home patient when a nurse named Janet York comes forward to my office to say that she knows this injury was not the result of an accidental fall.
So what exactly happened?
I was walking by Mr. Howard's room when I heard moaning. So I went in. What's going on? What happened to his face?
I guess I lost it. I hit him.
Janet tells Kenda that the man who assaulted Mr. Howard was the orderly, Kenneth Berzinas.
Thank you for coming. We'll take care of this. Skip, why don't you go over to the nursing home and have another chat with the owner, Miss Pratt. I'll send Fiorello to pick up Mr. Berzini.
Yes, sir. Right this way, ma'am.
So I assign Detective Ken Fiorello to locate and arrest Kenneth Berzinas for one count of assault on the elderly.
Excuse me. Are you Kenneth Berzinis?
Yeah.
Detective Fiorillo, I need to ask you some questions about what happened to John Howard.
Look, I'm not gonna lie to you. Somebody hit him.
Let's talk about it at the station.
From the outset of his interview, Kenneth Berzinas seems eager to tell the truth.
Okay, Kenneth, let's start from the beginning. Go ahead and tell me what happened.
Okay, I started working at the nursing home about 6 months ago. I was warned about Mr. Howard that he could be difficult. But I'm a vet. Compared to what I went through in Vietnam, this was nothing. All right, how are we doing today, Mr. Howard?
Wait.
Oh, come reason to get upset. It's a nice day outside. Close the window. The hell out of here.
What he needed to do was to get Mr. Howard out of bed so he could sort of remake the bed. When he tried to do that, Mr. Howard was resisting his efforts and was screaming and yelling.
I told you to do it. All of a sudden, out of the corner of my eye, I saw Mr. Howard raise his fist. Something in me just, oh my God, triggered. Oh man, I don't know what happened. I'm sorry, and I'm ashamed. I know he was hurt really bad. I didn't mean to react that way.
Okay, Kenneth. I believe you. But Olga says that you told her that he slipped and fell in the bathroom. Now, why lie about that?
Brasinas looked at Fiorello in absolute shock and said, I told her I hit him. And I hurt him badly. And I was afraid that maybe I killed him.
I never lied. I told Olga exactly what I told you, I swear.
Okay, Kenneth. I believe you. I do. Thank you for being honest with us.
With Kenneth Brasinas' confession in tow, Kenda sets his sights on a bigger fish, Olga Pratt.
We have a conspiracy that involves the owner of a nursing home. How deep does this go?
Other staff told us that there in fact had been a meeting that was held at the nursing home.
This whole thing with Mr. Howard, it was a terrible accident. And that's going to be our story. Got it? Anything else gets out, this place is ruined.
Armed with these additional statements implicating Olga Pratt in the cover-up, Kenda puts the squeeze on her.
Thanks for coming in, Miss Pratt. There were just a few things you wanted to go over.
How can I help you, detectives?
Just need a little clarification on what happened to Mr. Howard. He fell in his bathroom. Is that right?
That's right. He took quite a spill, so obviously we had him taken to the hospital right away.
That's strange. That's not what Kent Brasinas told us. He says he told you that he hit Mr. Howard.
Well, quite frankly, Lieutenant, you'd be a fool to believe anything Kenneth Brasinas has to say.
You know, right away you could see that she had an attitude. She was smug, and it was almost like an insult to her that we were questioning what she had already told us.
Well, I guess we're fools now, because I believe he's telling the truth. And we talked to some of your staff members that confirmed it.
Olga Pratt is willing to do anything to save her business and herself. Now, is it against the law to lie to the police? No, not against the law to do that. But it's against the law to engage in a conspiracy to conceal assault on the elderly, and that's what we're going to charge her with.
Miss Pratt, I'm afraid you're under arrest.
What? Arrest? What for? But I haven't done anything.
Miss Pratt, please come with me.
No, this is outrageous. I have responsibilities.
Olga Pratt is convicted of accessory to crime and conspiracy to commit accessory to crime. She is sentenced to 4 years probation.
The scary reality of this case is that we're all vulnerable, especially life basically in strangers' hands.
As for Kenneth Brasinas, he is also sentenced to probation and ordered to serve 2 years in a work release program.
I feel sorry for Kenneth Brasinas. He had emotional issues from serving his country in Vietnam, and he's been completely cooperative. But the fact remains he assaulted and nearly killed a 97-year-old man with his bare hands. And you have to be punished for that.
Despite his trauma, John Howard makes a full recovery, lives out the rest of his days in Colorado Springs, albeit at a different nursing home.
I believe this case was ultimately driven by greed. Olga Pratt made the decision that all of this should be concealed from the authorities, believing it would never come to light. Had it not been for the concerns of a daughter, she might have been right.